All right, welcome everyone to the Business Freedom and Legacy Summit 2026. I'm excited to have everyone here as we have a special guest, Steve Barry, and he's going to be sharing everything regarding how he's been able to thrive through a variety of life transitions, including job and career changes, raising children, welcoming daughter-in-law and grandchildren into his family, and then through divorce and surviving cancer 3 times. Through these experiences, he has developed a deep understanding of resilience, growth, and the many challenges that come with change. He offers a supportive container for those navigating significant transitions in their lives. Stephen brings a variety or varied professional background to his coaching practice. He has led 3 congregations, worked in sales and business development for a newspaper, and has taught at a local community college. He's also becoming a professional coach. As becoming a professional coach, in the culmination of his professional and life experiences, out of all of those past experiences that he's had, he's been able to be a successful coach. And what he finds most rewarding is the moment when he's able to help others unlock new perspectives about their world, their professional roles, and themselves, and then sees them act on those breakthroughs. For Stephen, it is especially fulfilling to see people create lives filled with intention and purpose. The positive difference in their lives is immeasurable. Stephen has also fought and survived 3 bouts of cancer. He had incredible support during those times, which became periods of growth and gratitude for him. He wants to support others in whatever way that they need. Coaching has changed Stephen's life for the better. It has helped him understand his values and live by those values in all aspects of his life. He wants to have the same impact on others. One of his greatest joys is when a coaching partner has a personal insight and experiences positive transformation. Welcome, Stephen. It's so wonderful to have you here. You've had such great success with your clients, and we want to see that continue on. Also, we want to kind of go over your background a little bit more in detail, like what got you into this line of work. Can you share a little bit more from your perspective?
So, from my perspective, and thank you for that introduction, by the way, Jen. It's good to be here. I appreciate the invitation to participate in this and speak with you about this. Um, yeah, it's like when I look back on my life, the trajectory and the journey I've been on, I've really done this work in everything I've done, whether it was in business, in the church, it was helping people become the best version of themselves. And so over a year ago, I actually retired from a full-time position where I was at the college working with students, working with entrepreneurs and business people to help them improve, to focus on my coaching.
Mhm.
So it comes out in a couple different ways. One, I do individual coaching with individuals on any topic, any situation they're facing, and it can be career, it can be personal change, it can be relationship, it's whatever. I just show up for them. But I think our focus today is more on business,
Mhm.
the business aspect of coaching, because I really find I have found that working with managers and leaders and helping them show up as the best version of themselves really helps improve employee engagement, improves um, productivity, improves the bottom line for the business. But when everybody's more engaged in uh, the company with their manager, everybody's happier, and happy employees make happy customers, and it just impacts the bottom line in a very positive way.
Awesome. And so you work with leaders and managers in business. So could you give us an overview of what you see as the reality of business when it comes to working with those employees and the leaders and the managers within those businesses?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for asking. So the number one concern that studies have shown that businesses have today is attracting and retaining good talent. Really, there's a big competition for talent, and I know people might say, "Well, there's a lot of unemployed people out there," but it's still you want to hire the right person. Another issue that companies have, and this is from surveys in 2025, was that employee engagement in their companies with their manager fell to about 21%. which is really low. That means 79%, close to 80% of your employees don't feel engaged, don't feel connected to the company, to their managers. My guess is that in 2026, the number goes even lower, that there's even the engagement's even lower. And then almost half of employees are feeling burned out. They're being asked to do more for less, and they have higher stress. And part of that is due to managers.
Mm. And do you find that there's a difference between what a good manager would be versus a good leader? Is there a difference with how like that person is perceived by their employees versus basically, you always hear of those that are leading from a servant's heart and servant leadership perspective.
Sure,
That's
sure.
okay.
Yeah, and that's that's a question I want to deal with a little bit later. Yes, there is a big difference, and the thing is, not every leader is a manager. You have your leaders, and we've all experienced that, where somebody just because of who they are and how they present themselves and their vision, they're able to communicate that they become a leader. And then there are managers who are good at managing, but they're not good at leading. And so it's kind of like it's a concentric circles. Some leaders are managers. Some managers can be good leaders, but not all managers can be good leaders. And the impact of that is that it's costing business globally about $9 trillion.
Wow.
For having a poor manager. And we've all had that bad manager, and maybe some of us have even been that bad manager. I'll put myself in that category. But the bottom line here, people don't leave companies; they leave managers. Right? And that's the number one reason people leave. In fact, I have a client right now that I'm working with, and they love their job. They love the people they work with, and they love the mission of the company, but the person managing this person is making them miserable. And so they don't want to leave the company, although that's one conversation we're having. They want to get into a different department, different area in that company to get out from under this manager. And this company is in danger of losing this person, which is a good employee.
So what makes a good leader and a good manager? Because, when they train people in banks, for instance, to recognize counterfeit bills, they'll say, really study the real bills. So then by the time a counterfeit comes by, you'll be able to recognize that. So what makes a really good leader and a really good manager?
It's funny. Google conducted a 10-year study. It's called Project Oxygen. You can look it up. You can Google it. And they asked the question, this 10-year study was, what makes a good manager? And they came up with, my earplugs they just dinged. Maybe they're going out. I may have to switch. But anyway, what makes a good manager? And the number one characteristic of a good manager is being a good coach. Okay, is showing up coach-like as a coach for their employees when they have those conversations, those one-on-one conversations, being a good coach. But the problem is most managers get zero training on what coaching is. They might get training on their specialty, like be it customer service, be it operations, whatever that is. But on how to be a coach, where they learn that from? From their manager, who wasn't taught how to be a coach, who learned it from their manager, who wasn't taught how to be a good coach. And so it's like a bad game of telephone tag, where you share things and down the road that nothing gets passed on. So I want your audience to just think for a minute. What does a good coach do? And when I ask that question, I just want you to think. When you've been coached well, what does that manager, what does that leader do when they're coaching you well? The answers I get are, one is they listen. They ask good questions. They ask what the employee's goals are. They help them reach those goals, and they connect on a deeper level with that employee. But what is it most managers do in those conversations? They give them feedback on, here's the things you're doing well, here's the things you're not doing well, here's where I want you to work, and gives them, here's your marching orders, if you will, and
Mhm.
doesn't really find out what that person what's important to that person, and that's a big reason why people leave.
Mhm. Yeah, and like you said, if that hasn't been modeled for you, then you don't know how to model that for others unless you break that cycle by getting coaching yourself or developing doing personal
Hmm.
development and
Hmm.
development in the leadership realm. And I don't think anyone ever becomes the perfect leader. I've never really seen that because it's something that is always in progress. So, what are the steps that someone who's in the leadership position or management position can do to become a better coach? Like, what are those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got certified in the respect styles coaching styles trainer, and I work with a guy who was David Morelli's his name, and he's been a coach for almost 30 years, and he did research on what you mentioned, leadership styles like the servant leader and that, and in his research he was looking for, well, what he asked the question, do coaches have style? Do people show up at coach like in different styles? And he found no information and no research on this. So he interviewed 16 of the top coaches, global coaches, and they're top coaches because they've been around a long time. They have high paying clients. They are successful. They have successful coach training programs. They're best selling authors and they're in demand. And he
Mhm,
asked them, what do you do
mhm,
when you coach? Because, coaching, there's confidentiality involved. When I coach with somebody and they
mhm.
share something with me, that stays with me. I
Yeah.
even coach people in programs that are sponsored by their
Mhm,
employer sponsored plans. And I'll have people say, I'm going to leave my job. Well, I don't share that with the employer. I want
mhm,
them to feel safe talking to me, sharing things with me so that I can help them move forward in whatever it is way they need to move forward or want to move forward. But anyway, so he came up with studying all that data. He asked these coaches, what do you do? And he looked through all that data, did research and everything, and examined it and said there are seven basic coaching styles.
mhm,
Okay,
mhm,
you're probably wondering what are those styles? Well, the acronym for them is respect.
mhm,
So there is the rallier, the coach that moves people forward. What are your goals? Right? That's the rallier coach. And ask them, what goals do you have? There's also the educator. So let's say the company's dealing with a project. Okay, let's just assume that for a minute. The educator coach will say, well, what do you know that you can apply to this project? And helps that employee come up with, what is it they know. There's also the strategist, who's the problem solver. And the leader coach will say, well, how would you solve this problem? Help them, doesn't solve it for them, but helps them come up with their own solution for the problem they're dealing with or that they might be dealing with. If you're looking
mhm,
at a project, what obstacles might there be? And how can you deal with them? And
mhm,
if you and I are talking and I come to you and I say, Jen, I have this problem I'm trying to solve. And you say, well, Steve, here's the answer.
mhm.
Am I committed to that answer?
Mm,
No,
no, no.
no, because it's your answer. You've
Yeah.
got to help me come up with what's my answer to this,
Mhm,
right?
mhm. Yeah.
And that's what I do. There's also the provocateur, the coach, the leader coach that helps people think differently. Maybe look at, we're looking at this project. Well, what could get in the way? Uh, why could it fail? And ask those hard questions about it. There's also the explorer coach who helps people see, what the big picture is, or helps them think for themselves outside. How can
Mhm,
I look at this as the employee?
mhm,
There's the confidant coach,
mhm,
leader coach who helps people be comfortable and
mhm,
feel like it's a safe space that they can express themselves, whether it's doubt, whether it's feelings, whether it's um, however they whatever they're thinking, whatever they're feeling. It's
mhm,
kind of like the confidant deals with feelings, and then the explorer deals with thinking.
mhm,
And so you might be good at one, what are you thinking about this, but not how do you feel about it? Or you might say, hey, how do you feel about this, but not help you think it through.
mhm,
And then there's the transformer. What's possible here? How can you be empowered to deal with this situation? And
mhm,
so, it's funny. that Project Oxygen, that Google study, I said they came up with that being a good coach is the number one effective thing that manager can do. Well, they actually came up with 10 skills that managers need. And I'd like to go over this because each of them aligns with one of these 7 styles. So first thing is, to be a good manager is to be a good coach. Well, that uses all 7 styles, right? The second thing is the one that empowers the team, doesn't micromanage, but lets the team, grow and become the best they are. And that's really the transformer. The third is that they create an inclusive team environment, show concern for the people on the team, in the department, whatever. That's the confidant, right? There's also the coach that's productive and results oriented. What are the goals, right? What are the benchmarks? How are you going to move forward? Well, that's the rallier, right? The cheerleader, if you will. Then there's the leader who listens, shares information, right? If you're listening, that's the confidant, and sharing information, that's the educator. And the good point here is you don't have to rely just on one. You can combine these and do, and use them for the best, show up best for your employee. Number 6 is supports career development. That's the transformer and the rallier together. The 7th is they have skills and can advise the team. That's the educator coach. The 8th is they have a clear vision and strategy for what's moving forward. Well, that's the strategist coach. 9th is they collaborate across all organizations, across departments. That's the explorer coach. What's the big picture? How does this benefit, the whole company? And then the 10th skill that managers need is to be a strong decision maker, and that's the provocateur. Moving forward.
Okay. So there's a lot of ways of being able to coach, and then do you incorporate a lot of those different aspects to the coaching to be a strong leader and manager?
Absolutely. And there's an assessment that I have that people can take that will show them where they're stronger, where they are more comfortable, but also show them where those areas where maybe they don't lean in as much. And so, for example, you may have an executive, a leader, a manager who's very good at the confidant, wants their employees to feel comfortable, very good at the strategist. Hey, here's the problem we're solving, and the rallier, and here's the goal. Here's how we're going to get there. But what the employee may need is, well, what skills do I need to do this, to move forward? Or where does this fit in to everything? Or they may want to provide their own opinion, and they're not able, not allowed to do that. Or, how does we do this? How is this going to help me in my career, in my growth, in the opportunities for me? So, that disconnect is why people leave. There's a survey that showed, over 200 people were interviewed on why they left the company, and the results of that data showed that 95% left because there was a disconnect in the 7 styles. And it might not have been all 7, but it could be they really needed one of the 7 as an individual. Maybe it's the confidant. Right. But the manager's not giving them that at all. And so they don't feel seen, they don't feel heard. And so they look elsewhere. But if that manager understands, well, I don't lean into confidant, but maybe my employees do and can do that more, that expands their toolbox of how they show up for their employees. And as we go through this program that I have, we look at, managers and leaders, they take the assessment, but also the employees take the assessment and say, where are they? And so then you line them up, and I could meet in a group, I could meet with, individuals, I could meet with a manager and an employee, direct report, and say, okay, what does this tell you about your relationship? What does it tell you about how you're working together? And they may connect really strong on 2, but then there's others that they're not. Well, how can they maybe connect on more? So that answer, I wonder if I answered your question.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask. Like, if an employee needs a certain type of leader, manager, coach, one of the 7 styles, but they're not getting that. How do they communicate that that's something that they need, or is that something that
Yeah,
they?
so that's what this assessment shows. And
Mhm,
I would sit down with that manager and say, hey, look, Jen Clark needs this. Look at
mhm,
this. This is what so what are ways you could show up in that way for her to help her feel more engaged
mhm,
with you and with the company? Because there's with this disconnect, Jen Clark is not as happy as she could be here. And
mhm,
you want happy employees.
mhm,
Happy employees make for happy customers, right?
mhm,
And so I would work with them, and it's not like I sit down once, but it's like, oh, let's go over conversations you've had.
mhm,
Let's go over those, or maybe the three of us get together and really talk it through a little bit, or maybe you know you say, let's try in the future, try showing up this way for Jen,
mhm,
and see how that feels, and see
mhm,
how she responds to that. And I might ask Jen, he's trying to do this, it's very open. There's nothing hidden about it, right?
mhm,
There was a company in Job Nimbus. They're a tech company, 200 people company out in Salt Lake City. They received this training. All of them received this training.
mhm,
And so they did a survey before anybody got the training on engagement, on management as coaches and all this. Everybody got the training, and then they did the survey again, and it showed that engagement in the company increased 180%.
wow.
And they did the survey 2 years later, and it was still up that 180%.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
also, the survey showed that 100% of the managers were described as being better coaches for their employees. And now that company, Job Nimbus, is one of the highest value rated companies in Salt Lake City. Its growth, and that's based on its revenue and and financial, not based on any surveys. So it works.
mhm.
This works.
So getting the leadership coaching is something that you've seen has an increase for revenue all around for everyone, for the company, for the employees. They have
Yeah.
that job retention as well, especially during this age, where there's a lot of layoffs happening as well because of AI. Is there something that you recommend for leaders and managers to make the employees feel, that they have some security with that company? Is there?
That,
Yeah.
you know, that's a great question. I think it's a big question, right? You can
Mhm.
almost do an entire week long workshop on that. But I think the more I learn about AI, is employees are scared.
Mhm,
You
mhm,
know, I have my own opinion on AI. I think there's a place for it, but it doesn't replace the human.
mhm,
It
mhm,
can't replace the human. In fact, as a coach, I have people say, well, I talked to my AI coach. I said, that's not a coach. That AI is just regurgitating what it can look up.
mhm,
Does that AI have any experience in life? Does that AI understand the emotions that you're expressing? Does that AI look you in the face and say, Jen, what I'm seeing, you just got a big smile on your face. What's that all about? And we talk about what brought joy to your life right there, or maybe you have tears. AI
mhm,
can't see that. Has AI had cancer? No.
mhm,
Has AI been divorced? Has AI raised children? Has AI had successful careers? Has AI been laid off? Those
mhm,
are all things I've experienced that I bring to my conversations, whether it's individual, whether it's with a company. You know, life happens and life can be hard, and we all need support. I have
mhm,
my own coach. I have, and I talk with people because I need that support. Well, that's what I am. I'm part of that container of support for people. Um,
mhm, mhm. It can
Sorry, I
never
kind of
really
got my
replace.
soapbox there for a minute.
Yeah, it can never really replace the true essence of somebody, like their true spirit and soul, whereas
No,
do some, like you said, tactical things, but it's not going to replace all that experience that you've gone through, or the true nature
yeah,
of people. Mhm,
yeah, and I think employees are right to be scared. But here's
mhm,
AI has no emotions, has no feelings, has none of that. So AI can do certain tasks that maybe would make the company more efficient, but those human tasks that where you need the human interaction, it can't replace that. And if you improve employee satisfaction,
Mhm.
You're going to improve their productivity. You're
Mhm.
going to improve return on investment. You're going to improve revenue.
Mhm.
You're going to improve growth over
Mhm.
time of that company if your employees are happy. So, for the business owners, the business leaders who are saying are committed to their employees, those are the ones I'd invest in.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
ones that are going all hog wild on AI, that's they're going to find out that it may be like this now, but it's going to go like that, and that's my
Mhm.
prediction.
Yeah. How
So
many times have you called, customer service centers and all it is AI and all you want is just to
it
get
happens
a real person, you know?
because what you're dealing with is nuanced,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? If I'm my bank balance, sure, let AI tell me. But if I have an issue with my account,
Mhm.
or I mean, this happened to me today with the grocery store I go to. I have an app and I couldn't get into it, and I have all these points, reward points I want to use, that I've earned, and I can't get into the app, and no one at the store could help me. So I called headquarters or customer service, and it was AI.
Mhm.
And I just kept saying, agent, agent, agent. And finally it goes, it seems to me you want to talk to a real person. And I'm like, no
That's
kidding. I want to talk to a real person. And the real person got on. And you know what? We solved the problem in less than 5 minutes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Fixed it.
Yeah. Because the
Yeah.
AI just knows general questions,
Yeah.
just
And
Q&A.
it gives you canned answers. And it
Mhm.
didn't know, what I was dealing with was nuance, and realized what I was doing wrong, and so, and the person was very kind, very accepting, very understanding, say, oh yeah, this happens, and didn't make me feel like the idiot that I can be with technology.
Mhm.
And so now I got things figured out, and I'm a happy camper
Mhm. Mhm.
because a
Yeah.
person helped.
Because a person helped you. And that's what it's going to go back to once they're going to find out that people are just pressing agent, agent, or saying that over and over.
Yeah.
We want to
Yeah.
talk to a real person. So, with regards to the coaching styles to be a really strong and effective and amazing leader, like you're talking about, that's actually a coach rather than just a leader or manager, um,
Hmm.
types of training that's involved, because it sounds like it could be a lot of work and potentially quite costly for a company to do that. But you're saying that the costs for that in the long term will pay off. The ROI will be so enormous that the amount of revenue that they put into leadership training and management training would be very little in comparison to the payoffs. So can you
Well,
talk a little bit about that?
yeah, I'm going to answer your question. I think it's a great question. So,
Mhm.
what is the cost of them not doing this? Of the high employee disengagement. So, if you lose productivity
Mhm. Mhm.
from your employees, and studies show, Forbes Gallup did a study, about 34% of an annual salary is lost in lost productivity. So think
Mhm.
about if you had that, or attrition. If people leave, if you lose 50% of what they bring to it, plus the cost of replacing them, which can be, 10, 2 times their salary to 4 times their salary, right? To replace
I've
them.
heard
But
7. I've heard 7 times, yeah, on
yeah,
average.
it,
Yeah.
it's costly. It's costly
Mhm.
to replace. And you get 20% lower sales.
Mhm.
So look at that cost. And so the price of doing this, well, think about the increased revenue that you're going to get.
Mhm.
Think about the increased satisfaction. So yes, this is work. Yes, it does cost
Mhm.
to implement it, and it's not like a one and done cost. I'm committed to your success. I'm committed to your company being successful because you have employees that are counting on you. You have
Mhm.
customers that are counting on you,
Mhm.
right? And so I can help you increase satisfaction of your employees, of your managers, and they will then increase profits for the company. You'll
Mhm.
get this money back
Mhm.
easily if you implement it and do the work. And I look at it this way: yes, it takes time, it takes money, but replacing replacing employees takes time and money. Um,
Mhm.
dealing with unhappy employees takes time and money.
Mhm.
Um, you know, so think about this: with a manager meets with somebody and puts them on a pit because they're not producing, they're not meeting their goals. Many times, that's the first time that employee is hearing about the goals they're supposed to be meeting. But here, with what I do is it's like, okay, what are the goals? Let's talk about those in front. And what are benchmarks that this employee can come up with? You know, if they're working on a project, what are the benchmarks to keep moving the project forward? And if the employee says, this is what I think we can do, these are the benchmarks, yes, we're going to meet this goal, the employee's committed to it, and the employee will do it. That's priceless.
Yeah, and when they have those meetings where they're giving you a score from 0 to 5 or 0 to 10, however they're scoring their employees, when the employee feels they're at a, top of the measurement, and then the leader or manager is saying, like a 2 or a 3 or something lower than expected, I think that the employee needs to kind of realize that they usually are trying to encourage them to perform better, but it doesn't come across that way. So
Exactly.
yeah, so there are incentives that leaders can do and managers can do to incentivize employees to keep moving forward, keep excelling, even if the employee feels that they're at the top of their game, to kind of encourage them to keep moving forward without discouraging them by giving them a low score, even though they deserve a higher score. Yeah.
Well, you know what? My clients, one of the greatest compliments they give me, and I think every leader, every manager should look for the same thing, is client will say to me, Steve, I appreciate you listening. You heard me. You see me for who I am. Those are my clients that keep coming back. Those are my clients that are satisfied, that are engaged with what I do with them. How many of us have had our manager actually see us for who we are, actually hear us? It's funny. I was working for a company and I got a new boss above, not my direct boss, but above me. And she never got to know me. Never came to see me. Never. I mean, she would other people, but for some reason she did with me. And it was like this. I'm like, I was like, what did I do? I felt very unseen, very unappreciated. And it was made it difficult to work there. Now I've got to say, I did work through it because, I stayed because I needed the money. Right. But now I'm helping other coaches, other leaders not be that person. And say, how do you relate to your employees? How do you coach them? I put a link in the chat. People can see that they can make an appointment with me. I'll put it in again.
Okay.
And so people can make an appointment to talk to me. We can go over what your needs are. I get asked, what does this cost? I'm like, well, each company's different, right? A 5-person company is different than a 100-person company. And so, and what they want from me and need from me is going to be different. So I'm not going to say any prices here, but if you're interested, make an appointment. We'll talk. Let's talk about your business. We'll talk about what your issues are, what's keeping you up at night, and let's see how what I do can help move that in the right direction.
And it sounds like what you're saying is that the majority of issues can be resolved with listening and hearing and understanding and acknowledging the person, that they feel they're doing 100, 110%, but they're being acknowledged for 10 or 20% or, whatever.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it on an interpersonal level, and we can relate it to business. So you get, and I'm divorced, so I'll say I've gone through this. I'm not a perfect person, not a perfect husband, although I'm a darn good husband. But the one spouse comes home, had a bad day at work, and the other spouse says, well, here's what you should do, right? Is that what that spouse wants when they're no, they want the person to say, that sucks. That sounds awful. You sounds frustrating. Here, let me rub your feet. I wouldn't expect that. Bosses
right.
don't do that to your employees. Don't hurt your
No,
employees.
but to be
There'll
in
be a
their
lawsuit.
corner, basically you're
But to
saying I'm in
respond
their
to
corner. Mhm, mhm.
respond to them as a person, as a
Yeah.
human being, and say, "Wow, that's very frustrating. What do
Mhm,
you need from me?" Right?
mhm,
That's a great
mhm.
question. What do you need from me right now?
Yes.
Do you need me to sit and listen? Do you want to talk about solutions? Do you
Mm,
want, do you want me to go away and leave you alone? Do you want me to
yeah,
fix your glass of wine? What do you need?
yeah.
Bosses don't ask that.
No.
And that's a powerful, powerful
That
question.
is a powerful thing because it reminds me of when I was first married, now over 30 years ago now. And I remember coming home to my husband complaining about this, that, and the other situation. And he sees the world from a very neutral, non judgmental perspective because he's got a clinical counseling psychology designation. So he can see things from everyone's perspective. So he would always give me, oh, from that person's perspective, or that perspective, or look at the overall. That's not what I wanted to hear. What I wanted to hear is you're in my corner, you're on my side, and you can see
Hmm.
my perspective. That's what I wanted
Right.
to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
similar, you're saying, to that kind of way of being of, okay, I see it from your perspective. You are working hard, you're doing the best you can, you're excelling.
Yeah.
And I want to acknowledge that and appreciate that rather than, oh, here's what you could do. And this is the the
Right.
perspective
You
from
want,
everyone
and
else.
you know what else? How would it have been to you when you came home that if he just looked at you and say, "Jen, tell me more,"
Hmm. Hmm.
how would that have felt?
That would have felt good because then I could really release all of it and
Yeah.
just let it go. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
and what else was going on?
Yeah.
And just keep asking those, be curious with the other person,
Mhm.
and I don't want to get into politics or anything, but we see it very divided. You see that out there, but nobody's asking each other, well, how did you get to that position? How did you
Mhm.
come up with that opinion? But we're all trying to change each other's minds, right? And what happens when you're like this? You just go like this, you just fall apart. So
Mhm.
I'm trying
Mhm.
to help bring people together. And I think business is a great place to do it. I think the
Yeah.
more we can have successful business out there
Mhm.
with people listening, people coaching and getting coaching, uh, the more successful business will be, and the happier
Mhm.
people will be.
Yeah.
And in this economy, people need that.
I love the analogy of the leader, manager, and the employee as a marriage kind of relationship because I always talk about business in relationship to marriage. So I've never seen it from that
Yeah,
perspective. I love that. That's a really great insight.
yeah.
And you also said that you have some free gift offers, I think, for the audience as well. So when people go to businesscoachingamerica.com/summit and they register, they'll get the free gift offers from all the speakers, the speaker bundle package. And when they get the VIP upgrade, they'll get the VIP speaker bundle package as well. And so that's businesscoachingamerica.com/VIP-access. Did you want to share what your free gift offers are today, Steve? I think you said you also have a special promo code or discount on certain things or special.
No, I haven't come up with a promo code. But what I'll do is, if anybody makes an appointment with me, they'll get a discount. They'll get a
Mm,
deep discount on this, and maybe one free assessment,
okay.
so that they can experience it. So they make an appointment with me, the purposedrivenmethod.com. I'll post it there. I'll post it again. Um, they contact me directly and they tell me they saw me here in this, on the
The business.
business coaching. Yeah,
Yeah.
they say
Okay.
that, and yeah, they'll get that.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Wonderful. And if everyone books in with both of us, I'll give an extra free gift offer and free bonus as well. So if you go to businesscoachingamerica.com/summit, and then you can get your VIP upgrade access at the /VIP-access. And we'll give you some extra bonuses and specials for booking in with both of us today. And
So
so
can everybody see what we're putting in the comments?
yeah, so what I do is I share it up on the screen as well so they can see the comments and then they'll have one that's shared on the screen here as well.
Put
So
mine on the screen as well.
yeah, okay. So let's take a look here. So we've got
There we go.
that. So you can book right in directly and say
Yeah,
that you've booked in and let me know that you've booked in with him as well. And we'll
I'll
get
let
you an
you.
extra bonus as well. So,
Okay.
so is there anything else that you wanted to share with the audience as well, Stephen, regarding, I guess, what the managers and companies are supposed to do to be able to create that safe environment? And I guess one question I have with the confidant coach is, I remember someone saying that they worked for companies that would say that they're, that they can share anything and be, have
Door's
that.
always open, right? The door's always open.
Yes, things like that. So how can it truly be something where they feel safe and that it is confidential? Is there certain things that you put in place to make it that way?
So yeah, so I mean that's really an agreement they come up with in the conversation, and by confidant it doesn't necessarily mean confidential, right?
Mm,
But it means you feel safe sharing with me. I'm not going to use that information against you,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
So when I was having marriage issues, I went to my boss and said, hey, just so you know, this is what's happening, and so there may be days I may seem off. And
mhm,
so my boss would say, "Hey, is everything okay today?" So it was in that kind of way, but it was never used against me, and that would be inappropriate. So you want people to feel safe with
mm,
you,
mhm,
to trust, right? Can they trust you? Um, and so, like you mentioned confidentiality. My coaching conversations are confidential, with
mhm,
exceptions. If
okay,
I feel someone's going to hurt somebody else, hurt themselves, thinking of suicide or there's any kind of abuse, those I report because those are important, as should
mhm,
this boss. You move forward with that. Um, and as a teacher, the students felt safe coming to me, but I had one say, I can't get here. And I said, well, what would help? He goes, well, the bus is, I can't afford the bus. I said, how about if we go and get you some bus passes and see what we can do? But it means I have to share the information, or if
mhm,
they have financial problems, or if there are problems at home. Sometimes you do share.
mhm,
So, but do you feel safe? Come to me that I'm not going to misuse that information and that I'm going to, um, not misuse the information, but I'm going to, whatever actions I take are going to be on your behalf and to benefit you.
mhm,
Okay. So there's a
mhm,
difference between feeling safe, the confidant, and confidential. But
mhm.
I see where you made that connection.
Okay. Okay. So just feeling safe to share certain things are going on,
Hmm.
and just
Hmm.
kind of asking for some grace basically during that time period. They're
Exactly.
through.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not that you have to go in and wear your emotions on a sleeve. You might not be comfortable with that,
Mhm, mhm,
and it might be that, you just say to the boss, look, I just want you to know I'm going through some personal stuff right now. So just so you know, and the boss might say, okay, well, if there's anything I can do,
mhm,
but the fact that that person felt comfortable saying that, because we know people who they're going through an issue, and what do they do with it? Keep it to themselves, right? I got to work through
mhm,
this. I can't,
mhm, mhm,
but a good leader, a good coach will say, no, you can express it. And sometimes just when people say it, that's all they need to do.
mhm,
I've had clients, though, I'm like, at the end of a session, I'll say, hey, what's been the best thing coming out of this for you? And they'll go, you just let me say what I needed to say.
mhm. Okay.
So,
So just
yeah,
being more gentle and compassionate and understanding
yeah.
of
Hmm.
their employees'
We're all
situation.
human. We're
Okay.
all human.
Mhm. Okay. And so what are some of the greatest testimonials that you've seen or the greatest like traits of, leaders that have had success? Like for instance, I have a daughter-in-law who loves working for a specific very big organization, company, and she just loves it there. I think I'm not exactly sure what the incentives are, but I think that they have, an employee incentive type of program. So have you seen certain programs that work the best for companies to keep that employee engaged and to have greater profits? Are there certain traits that you've seen that they've
Well,
incorporated?
these, I mean,
Mhm, mhm,
these, leaning into the 7 different styles of coaching, showing up that way for their employees. I think that's, a shameless promotion here, but I think that's what works.
mhm,
Um, and this shows that companies with a good coaching environment, good coaching culture, are
mhm,
more successful. And in all my years as a coach,
Mhm.
This is the best programmer work, if you will, that brings that out.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because so there's a organization called the International Coach Federation, ICF. That's who they're global. They oversee coaches. They help, make sure they're ethical. They're trained. They go through, coach training, which I have done, and taking tests and been observed and
Mhm.
maintain ethical standards. That's why this PCC designation that you see after my name is so important. That just tells people, yes, I'm not just somebody hanging up a flag saying I'm a coach, because that can happen. But because of this, and I kind of forget your question, and I got into that. In all my years as a coach, this is the best program I've seen for coaches and for leaders,
Okay.
um, by
Okay.
far, by far. And there's other assessments, like there's DISC, Strengths Quest, Myers Briggs, Enneagram. There's all those. Those
Mhm.
help you see who you are. This
Mhm.
helps you see how you show up and
Okay.
how you can show up, which is a huge difference. I'm not poo-pooing those, because I've done Myers-Briggs, I've done Strengths Quest, and I've done a lot of them, and they're all, tools that we use. But this tool helps you show up for your employees, um,
Okay.
more well-rounded, with more tools in your toolbox, so you can connect with them in a more deeply profound way, and they'll be more connected to you. They'll be more connected to the company, and they'll be happier and more productive.
So that's more important, those 7 coaching styles, than actual, like, tactics of how many bonuses or how many,
Oh yeah.
incentives they get, or discounts or specials or
Oh yeah.
tool.
I mean, we all have bonuses, right? But what really impacts people, what really studies to show, what they're looking for is that connection, that appreciation. And if
Mhm.
I know, Jen, I know you, what one thing that's important to you is that you get one Friday a month off so you can go sailing over the weekend.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see how we can work that out.
Mhm.
Okay, that maybe we do some comp time some way, or some that let's see how we can figure that out for you. You don't want
Mm.
a bonus, you want more time with your family,
Mm.
right?
So making it more specialized and customized for that
Yeah,
employee.
what do you need, what do you want, what
Mhm.
do you want,
Mm.
not what do I think you want,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Yes. That's amazing. I think that's really good to customize those incentives
Yeah,
for the employees so that it
but
is.
how do you know what they're going to be if you don't really show up in a way that's listening, in a way that's trying to hear and trying to see the employee?
Mhm.
And these 7 styles help you do that.
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know what are your
Yeah.
goals? What do you know? What do you need?
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm.
That. That's really good. And it takes, I guess, a certain amount of vulnerability and a certain amount of intimacy to be able to be open enough to share those things on both parts, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's just
And the
part of
goal.
the training aspect of it to get
Oh,
there.
absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, we've been, quote, trained our whole lives to hold things in, to, just produce, just to do, and not worry about all the other stuff. But studies are showing that it's the other stuff, those
Mhm.
skills that make things even better. I go back to that, the example of Job Nimbus, that, engagement was up 180% 2 years after they went through the training. So they're
Mhm.
committed, they embraced it, they internalized it, and they live it, so that
Mhm.
they show up for each other this way, and the company's more profitable. I guarantee you people got raises, but
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
impact. That's not the purpose, right?
And what about how you could get employees to feel a little bit of ownership as well? I've heard certain companies will give a little bit of stock share or some kind of, actual
Sure,
investment into, yeah. So they
sure.
feel
That's
ownership.
that's a that's a reward system, and those, yeah.
Mhm.
Give
Mhm.
me stock, and you think, wouldn't you love to have stock in Google, right? When it's first started,
Yeah.
right? Or be
Mhm.
aware. Sure, that's good, and the those are good incentives as well. I'm saying this can make things, even if not all companies can do that, right?
Mhm.
But if you do this other and show up this way, and profits do go up, revenue does go up, the company does grow, then you're more able to do those kinds of things.
Mm.
It
Okay.
all
And
starts with the employee.
yeah. Yeah, I think what I hear you saying too, what I'm getting from it is in this age of AI, these skills are going to even be more valuable and more important
Absolutely.
because people are going to be so deprived of it because of those AI bots that they're going to crave real connection with real human beings and at their core of who they are and having and be known to know and be known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look what happened during the pandemic. We were all disconnected, and look how much we suffered
Hmm.
for that. And I still, I have a lot of clients that are still grieving things from that time because of what they lost, and grieving, not the death of somebody, but just grieving loss of a job, loss of their autonomy, loss of connection. I
Hmm.
see that a lot, and we're still seeing it.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah.
So, yes, we need human connection, and that's what this helps people provide for each other.
Hmm. Hmm. I love it. And have you noticed like a certain ratio of for every dollar that's put into leadership and coaching
Wow.
training that they would have like an average kind of, return on investment?
That's a great question. That'd be hard to measure. The, an- the the quick answer is no, I don't. And I'm
Mhm.
trying to figure out how would one measure that? It's more anecdotal,
Yeah.
at this point. This the program, the Respect Styles, is research based, it's data
Hmm.
based,
Hmm.
but the impact is more anecdotal, like the case study with that company.
Hmm.
You still
Hmm.
have to have the right people, but this helps get the right people.
I think that there was a study in 2024, 2025 on, kind of like the return on investment for leadership and management coaching training. And it was something like 780% ROI on
I'll
average.
take it.
But for some of my clients, when I do the actual math, some it's like 26,000% ROI. Like it's a
Yeah, I was
huge,
gonna say this is
yeah,
probably more. Yeah,
yes. Yeah,
yeah,
more. So I think that people don't realize that when you think of like if you were to ever invest in something and someone was going to say you're going to get 780%, return on investment to 26,000% return on investment, I think that's a really good investment for any
yeah.
business owner. Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm.
I think this is, to invest in this is a great investment for a company.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
then it's something that will impact the company long term. And I don't just say let's do this 3 month program and then I'm gone. It's like, no, let's have a long term relationship, and maybe we do a 3 month, and then once a year come back in and see where people are, do leadership training,
Mhm.
do a presentation on leadership, on how this impacts leaders, and
Mhm.
how they can grow and perform better with that. So
Mhm. Awesome.
yeah.
So then I encourage everyone to book in with both of us today. When you book in with both of us, I have an extra bonus for you. I've got a speaker gift bundle packet for the general audience and then an extra one for the VIP audience. So if you go to businesscoachingamerica.com and book in your consultation today, and also go to /summit to register for the summit, and then /VIP access, you'll get all of the speaker gift offers and bundles that are in there as well, and the VIP upgrades. And so when they book in with you, they're going to get some special offers from you as well, Stephen. And you said that you also have a assessment that they would most likely be
Yeah.
able to get as well. So you also check people's, I guess, their personality traits and how that interacts with their employers and leaders and managers and the employees together. You kind of look at each person's personality. It's similar to a marriage,
Well,
right?
no, I'm going to say I don't look at personality, but it's where are they comfortable showing up,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
isn't based on personalities, is where they're comfortable. I took the assessment, and I was very strong as a confidant, explorer type coach, but I've
Okay.
learned to lean into others, like the
Mm-hmm.
provocateur, or the strategist, more with when appropriate,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you don't use all seven all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, what do you need right now? How do you need me right now? And so you have to be in tune with the employee, with the other person, and that takes time. That takes building that relationship. But the more you build that relationship, the stronger the engagement is, and the better the employee will produce and
Mm-hmm.
perform, the longer they'll stay,
Mm-hmm.
and so you don't have that expense of replacing them. and the happier they'll be, and they will even become more creative and come up with more ideas, and they'll look for ways. Hey, what if, we're doing this? Hey, have you ever thought of doing this? They become more engaged in just the whole thinking process, because that provocateur helps them to think bigger, think different, and a little more critical thinking, even, if you will, and a little bit more, hey, what if we did this?
Yeah. Okay. And so when it comes to those types of things from the employee's perspective, is there something, because you mentioned sometimes let the employee lead as well. That was a book I saw in the airport a few months ago. I was quite shocked when I saw the cover, something about letting your employees lead. And it's a different kind of perspective of leadership. Can you speak to that a little bit of allowing that to happen?
Well, the word that comes to mind is micromanage, right? Who likes to be micromanaged? It's like, let's say here's the company goals, here's where we're going, and here's a project you're working on. Go for it, run with it.
Mm-hmm.
I might do things ABC way, but you're looking at them WXY. We're going to get to the same place, right? But you're going to do it in a way that you're committed to, and maybe I can learn something from that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I hadn't thought of that. But if I'm holding you back, if I'm micromanaging, say, Jen, I want a progress report every day at noon.
Mm-hmm.
You're so worried about doing a progress report every day at noon, you can't think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's like, Jen, let's touch base. How about every 2 weeks, let's just touch base, and we can. In fact, I had a boss once. That's what brand new boss came in, and we set up that we're going to meet. It started out every week, every Tuesday, 10 o'clock. We were going to get together. But it was always like, you need to meet this week? Nope, don't need to meet. Okay, go ahead. Or if did need to meet, I would say, this is what I got to talk about today. But often, what happened is 10 o'clock Tuesday was our regular meeting. But on Thursday, I had a question, something I'm dealing with. I felt comfortable just going, hey, you got 10 minutes to talk about this? And they might say, can it wait till Tuesday? And I'm like, well, yeah, it can wait till Tuesday, or can we deal with it now? We would deal with it now. And so we just had that relationship where I felt confident, right, in them, that I could go and trust them. And if their door was closed, literally closed, I knew, okay, I got to figure it out. I'll come back later, and I might send a message. Or I might say it can wait till Tuesday because I know the door will be open. So, but it's building that relationship and knowing those things, and being able to walk in and say, I know we don't meet till Tuesday and it's Thursday, but I'd rather get this taken care of before the weekend. And those things.
Yeah, that sounds really good. So it is all about having a good relationship, similar to a marriage relationship, and that's definitely something that was a big revelation for me today with you, and speaking on this subject. I think that's something that I can really relate to and understand, because it's definitely a work in progress, and having that commitment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that, because I'm a good coach, and I still get more feedback. I still meet with other coaches. I still go to continuing ed. I have a coach that I meet with on a regular basis. And she and I talk about things, and I come and I show, this is what I want to focus on today, and because it's all about continuous improvement, right? I'm a good coach. I can be a better coach. Right? Just whoever's listening, you're a good manager. You can be a better manager. And let's work together, and let's keep that ball rolling, and keep working together, and find out where are areas you could improve, or maybe there's some other areas, and let's look at where you're strong and say, how can we leverage that with these areas that one thing I do is when I present this, if people get their assessment, I say, okay, have a coaching conversation, but lean into that part where you're weakest. Don't use your strength. Lean into that part and see how that feels. See how that goes.
Wow.
See what the response is, and practice that.
Really?
Wow.
I love that.
Do it.
Yeah. Because most people will say, build on your strengths, lean on your strengths. But when you said the opposite, that is another amazing revelation as well. Lean into your weaknesses and focus on
Mhm.
those. I love that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I shy away from strengths and weaknesses, even though I just use that as phrase. I like to say you're more comfortable here. You're not
Hmm.
as comfortable there. Lean
Hmm.
into where you're not as comfortable. That's telling you to be more of a provocateur. Just, maybe you could try to help them expand their thinking a little bit more. Challenge, show them that uncomfortable truth, because you're not comfortable there. So maybe if you lean into it, you could start exercising that muscle, right? And
Hmm.
then as
Hmm.
you grow and expand, you'll be more. I've seen it in my own coaching.
Hmm.
Since I've gone through this training, I've seen times when I show up in the areas where I'm not as comfortable, how that has benefited my clients.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think that's a really good point and a really good revelation about that, because we are always so focused on our strengths, our talents, our gifts, all of those
Hmm.
things, but we never focus on those things that we're not comfortable in, those
Yeah, yeah,
uncomfortable areas. And sometimes those can be our greatest strengths because we admit it. We don't have,
yeah,
that strength in that area. So
yeah,
then if
yeah.
something happens where it all comes together, that whatever you weren't strong in was able to be, excelled in. It's just like, wow, this is amazing. It keeps that humble, spirit in a leader and a coach and a manager.
Hmm.
They know, okay, this wasn't their strength. So how were they able to do this? And I've seen that time and time again, through
Yeah,
life
yeah.
as well, where it's like people will say, oh, you definitely have the gift of administration or something like that. And it's like, no, that's like one of my lowest gifts, but
Yes,
somehow I'm
yes,
able to do it.
yes.
So,
I agree
um,
with you. You and I are the same
yeah.
that way. The organization, that's quote, that's a weakness of mine. So I work very hard at being more organized.
Hmm. Hmm.
And as that, it's funny. This is kind of off topic, but when I realized this about me, I went and bought a labeler, and I actually print out labels for my files. Game changer, because I
Hmm.
was using my handwriting to label files, but now they're what
It's
a difference. But that was leaning into something where I'm not that strong, that I need help. And that's kind of this. It's like, okay, how can you use it? How can you be more of a provocateur or a strategist or a whatever it is that shows up. Yeah. And you know what? It's fun. We have fun doing it, and
really.
we laugh. Oh my gosh. Yes. We laugh about it, because we're human beings. We're learning, and you learn by trying something, and oh, that didn't work too well, but I learned this from it. And we learn from making mistakes, from quote, failing, right?
Mhm.
Fail is an acronym for first attempt in learning. So when you learn to ride a bike by falling off,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
um, and so yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of energy, and which is great because it sometimes the topics can be uncomfortable because people are looking at themselves and learning about themselves, and sometimes when you learn about yourself, you don't always like what you see. But
Mhm.
if you go with the attitude, this is going to be fun, I'm going to learn, I'm going to improve,
Mhm. Mhm.
because there's no judgment.
Yeah.
Okay, there is no judgment here. Jen, you may be very strong as the transformer. You help people see their how they can grow, how they can be the best version of themselves.
Mhm.
But you might be really bad at the educator, right? And I don't know if that's true for you or not, but okay, so you're bad there. That's okay. How can we help you improve there? You're great here. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. But let's add to your toolbox, right?
Mhm.
Let's
Mhm.
add to that. If all you have, I also liken it to like an orchestra, right?
Mhm.
When you get
Mhm.
all the instruments playing,
Yeah.
it sounds
Mhm.
great. But sometimes only the violins are playing, and then
Mhm.
the oboes come in, and then the
Mhm.
percussion. But if you don't have the oboes, if you only have violins,
Mhm. Mhm.
it can't it doesn't sound right. You
Mhm.
need them all.
Wow. Okay. That's really good to know. Yeah, because we're all part of everything to make that symphony, that beautiful music together.
Yeah,
So we're all
yeah.
needed. And some, like you said, don't have some strengths. And it's not, they're getting out of their comfort zone to try those areas. And then some,
And I've learned a lot about myself by leaning into those areas where I'm not used to. I'm not as
Mhm,
comfortable. I'm very good at the confidant.
mhm,
We can have a conversation, and if it's just you and me in
mhm,
private, I will
mhm,
make sure you're very comfortable sharing with me.
mhm, mhm,
You know, I will ask you some good questions. I will find
mhm,
out about you,
mhm,
and you'll be very comfortable sharing.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, that's probably the
But
majority of getting, to the root of issues and solving problems. I just saw this 2 weeks ago that if you write down and know what the problem is, that's 60% of the way to the solution.
yeah, yeah.
So, like what you're saying, by hearing, really understanding, listening, that's 60% of the solution right there or more
hmm hmm
potentially.
hmm When they're able to articulate. And sometimes, it's fun. I'm glad you said that because sometimes people have a hard time really articulating or saying what the problem is. They just know there's a problem. And
Mhm,
so as I keep asking questions about it, it's like peeling an onion. They
mhm,
get peeling off the layers and getting into the core of the issue because we don't
mhm.
always know.
Yeah,
But and if I try to ask questions that are questions based on what you're saying and what I'm hearing, not what I'm
mhm,
thinking, right?
yeah,
Those are more impactful questions for
mhm,
you.
mhm,
And then it helps you. Um, I had a client the other day. I asked a question, and she just she said a bad word, and she goes, "Why'd you go there?" But that's where she needed to go. And
mhm.
I just asked a question, very, hey, I'm hearing this. What about this?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes it's just that one key word or key phrase that's just like the
yeah.
moment. So there was something even personally I was thinking of that I've been going through for almost 30 years. This is a long time to go through it. And then I got one key phrase or one key word regarding it. And it just brought this breakthrough for me. And then my husband said the same word the next day and it was like a confirmation that, yes, this is the thing I needed to focus on rather than all these other things I was focusing on. So it was just
hmm
this amazing, like instant almost healing and kind of a amazing breakthrough and revelation all in one moment that I wish I had had like 20 some 30 years ago now.
Well, and when you're in the middle of it, it's
Mhm,
hard to see. And because I can meet with you and I'm not in the middle of it, I ask questions about things that helps you, kind of get a different perspective, which
mhm,
can be helpful. And it sounds like that's what happened to you. It's
mhm,
hard to see when I use, when you're in the middle of the whirlpool, it's hard to see where you can grab on to get help out. And so we just kind of help you slow the whirlpool down and
mm,
let's reflect a little bit.
I love that. Yeah, because we all need somebody else's support and perspective and
Yeah.
that gentle kindness and care and compassion and that listening ear and truly understanding. Like you said,
Mhm.
that like a machine wouldn't be able to replicate or, you
Oh
know,
yeah. No.
wouldn't be able to replicate. Mhm,
I liken it to a seed, right? Like, let's say this seed's going to become a black-eyed Susan, because that's my state flower, right? I'm in Maryland. If I take that black-eyed seed and just put it on the desk here and let it sit there, what's going to happen with it? Nothing. It
mhm,
needs to be in the right kind of container. It needs that good Maryland dirt. It needs water, nutrition, warmth, sunshine to become a black-eyed Susan.
mhm,
It won't if it, and I'm part of that container of support for people.
mhm,
Whether you're a leader, manager, employee, just I'm part of that container. That's why I have my own coach who's part of my container, right? To help me become the best version of who I can become.
mhm. I love
And
that.
let me tell you, she's helped me through cancer and deal
Mhm,
with that, the emotional trauma of that, and help me deal with the divorce and the emotions of that, and say, okay, how can I move forward with this? It's been priceless.
mhm. It is. It is priceless to have someone that can see it from a different perspective and show you, aspects of areas that, maybe outside of your comfort zone that it would be good to try. And I know one
Yeah.
of the speakers last week, I shared a vision that I've had for many years. And then I all of a sudden thought, well, do I really want that to happen? And then she said, well, just try it, just see it, see it through, see what happens. And if you like it, that's great. And if you don't, that's okay too. So, but don't make it like a permanent decision. Do it kind of like as a little trial or test period. And then that way you can really see how you like it. So just having people encourage you in those types of things as a coach, and having coaches in different areas, of your life, I think is really amazing to have that community.
Hmm.
It's going to be even more powerful
Hmm.
in these next coming days and months and years, as people are really like leaning heavy into the AI age. So I think this is going to be the most important aspect of what we do in the coming years for sure. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Remember the human.
yeah. So if everyone books in today with myself at businesscoachingamerica.com and with Stephen as well, and you let me know that you booked in with him, then you'll get an extra bonus, and we'll give you the entire speaker bundle as well for the general audience. And when you get the VIP upgrade access, you'll also get all of the speaker bundle free gift offers for the VIP as well. And there's a lot of extra things that you're going to get in there. So go to businesscoachingamerica.com/VIP access, and to also to Stephen Barry's website, Purpose Driven Method.
Purpose-driven method.com.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you, Stephen. And
I appreciate you.
yeah, come back on and let me know whenever you're available to come on, and we can have other topics that we can speak on, kind of maybe deep dive into each of those 7 areas of coaching and those 7
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, I
I'll
think that would
coach
be
you. I'll coach you.
okay. Coach me
And
live.
we'll do a demonstration.
Okay,
We'll do
that sounds good.
a 20 minute, and then talk
Oh,
about it.
okay,
Okay?
wonderful. How much time do you have right now? Are you heading off right now, or do you have an appointment at this
I do have
time?
appointments I gotta get ready
You
for.
gotta get
Why
to.
were you hoping to do that right now?
No, it's okay. We can do it another time. All right. We can always do, we can also create a pre-recording. We also have a pre-recording for the VIP upgrade access as well with Stephen and I, and then we can do some more pre-recordings for that VIP upgrade access as well when you go
Well,
get
let's
that.
talk about doing that. Let's talk about doing that.
That would be fun. That would be really
Yeah.
great. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
have a wonderful day, Stephen, and I appreciate you, and we'll have you on again in the coming weeks as well. All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay. All
Cheers.
right. Take
Okay.
care.
All right.
Bye
Take care.
bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. See you. All right. Okay, so you're watching the Business Freedom and Legacy Summit, and we just were speaking with Stephen Barry, who's a leadership coach, and we were talking about all the different styles of leadership. And if you'd like to get those recordings that we're going to have a whole series put together. You can go to businesscoachingamerica.com/VIP access and register today. If you'd like to join the webinar as well, that's happening in our webinar room. You can also join that with the StreamYard access as well. I can share that with you on the screen, and it's actually in the comments as well. So this is the webinar link right here, and we can also share that once more. So if you go to businesscoachingamerica.com, you can book in a free VIP Business Accelerator breakthrough consultation with me today. You're going to receive all of the free gift offers. I'm going to connect you with all of the speakers so you can book in with them as well. And if you book in with the speakers, I'm going to give you extra bonuses. You're going to see how awesome all those bonuses are going to be. So when you enroll into the Elite Business Accelerator and Quick Start Business Accelerator, you're going to receive done with you and done for you bonuses. So some of those things would be such as an enrollment sales funnel, a virtual event funnel, so you can run your own events, an evergreen webinar funnel, so you can have your own evergreen webinar. So if you were to record something similar to this event and then have that on replay, you can have people come and watch that 24/7, even round the clock, round the world, even while you're potentially sleeping or potentially traveling. And then we do all of the automations as well. And we find that when you have automations, that it increases your show up rate for your appointments by over 38%. So even though sometimes people think maybe there's too many automations, but it's better to have those automations and have a high show up rate than not to have those automations. So we'll have all of that set up one-to-one, done with you, done for you with the Quick Start and Elite Business Accelerator. And so we have a whole team backing you and supporting you. They're in your corner. They want you to succeed. They want you to win in life. And we're going to be able to work with you to get your business moving forward. My mission and vision and calling is to bring healing and a good impact in this world. And for everyone who wants to do that, to get paid well for that. Because so many people do it out of the kindness and goodness of their heart. If you're a coach or you're in healthcare or you're in any kind of service industry, you went in there to serve others and to be supportive to others. So we want to support you in that mission and vision and calling that you have to make a great impact in this world and get paid well for it, because you need those resources to be able to propel you into further impact in this world. And so if you have a vision to see strong leaders that are happy and encouraging and treat their employees like they would in a loving relationship that we just talked about, that was a great revelation to hear. And you want to have your weaknesses strengthened by leaning into your areas where you don't feel comfortable and getting out of your comfort zone, then we're going to be supportive too regarding that, because we want to see the economy built. We don't want to focus on anything of, blaming certain things that are going on that are affecting the economy. We want to create our own economy and be able to look at it from a positive perspective, that we're going to transform ourselves, our families, our community, our area and our country, and hopefully globally around the world. So I'd like to invite you to come along with us to make that impact, because we want to bring healing, we want to bring prosperity, abundance, and be able to build businesses to be able to do that. And out of the overflow and abundance from your business, create even charitable organizations and foundations. So I used to work with a health and wellness retreat and conference center, putting on hundreds of in-person retreats, conferences, summits, webinars, or not, they weren't webinars back then, they were actually seminars back then, and workshops. And they were usually sold out even weeks in advance. And we also, at the same time, were working with a charitable organization. They were wealthy waterfront development family, and out of their overflow and abundance, they created a foundation, put their father's name on the foundation to be able to direct those funds to where they really felt led for them to go. So they created senior homes. They helped create the Health and Wellness Retreat and Conference Center. They created a art and dinner theater so people could learn about culinary arts. They could learn about musical theater, even Broadway theater. They could learn about how to have an art gallery. Everything they did was 4 or 5 star luxury and, very high end, but very accessible and affordable to the community. So after working with them for almost a decade, I started to open my eyes to see, oh, this is the way to do charitable work. This is the way to do those things that we feel are needed in our society. Build businesses that are highly profitable, and out of their overflow and abundance, create charitable foundations to be able to do that. So you have a charitable arm where you're able to really serve people from that. So if you'd like to be able to do those types of things and create a legacy for your family, for others in your community, to create generational wealth, to create charitable organizations and foundations, or even just do charitable acts out of that abundance, I invite you to book in at businesscoachingamerica.com today to book your consultation. You'll have a complimentary free VIP one-to-one business breakthrough business consultation with myself, and we'll get our team doing everything done one-to-one, done with you, done for you, to really accelerate your business and move it forward into 2026 and beyond. I truly believe 2026 is going to be an amazing year for business. Now we're heading into, September. So I truly believe the next, 4.5 months are going to be one of the biggest buying seasons of all time. If you'd like your business to really skyrocket and accelerate, I encourage you to book in today, and we'll get things moving forward, because we really care about you. We care about the economy. We care about building businesses and being able to serve others through that. So go to businesscoachingamerica.com, and then to get registered for this event, go to businesscoachingamerica.com/summit. And then to get the VIP upgrade access, that's businesscoachingamerica.com/VIP-access. So I really encourage each of you to book in and register today. And when you book with myself for the free complimentary VIP business breakthrough consultations, I'm going to give you a business grant, a 2026 Accelerator Business Grant. And you're also going to get a friends and family special because you are watching this Business Freedom and Legacy Summit. So those specials are good for anyone watching here, as well as for anyone that is in service, and also who, if you're in an area of like being a teacher or, health and wellness, or a veteran, or someone who, is in that way of being in service, and you want to build your business, I'm going to offer that to you as well. So just let me know that you heard about that on the Business Freedom and Legacy Summit, and we'll be able to get those things to you. And I'll give you extra bonuses for when you book in with myself and my guest speakers as well. So go to businesscoachingamerica.com/summit and then /VIP-access, and then book in your consultation today. And then what we're going to do is when we sit down with you, we're going to create an intellectual proprietary marketing idea to make you stand out and set apart. So premium clients want to enroll with you quickly. Some of my clients have received, and enrolled their first clients in the first day of their appointment with me. They'll enroll 2 that evening. They tried to enroll before and couldn't, and knew they couldn't, and they enroll them for almost double, or 3 the next day with no tech, just a phone and an app on their phone to take payment. And that's the reason why I do all of the tech as a bonus for my clients. We put everything onto a click-by-click, all-in-one business system, platform, and command center that has thousands of apps and tools and platforms in one location. And we did that as a favor for our clients because I noticed they were spending hundreds, if not thousands, on business tools and apps and technology. They try to webhook and Zapier them together. And then after a few months, they'd give up on it. And so I thought I'd take that off their shoulders. And then as a bonus, we create all of those funnels that I mentioned, the enrollment sales funnel, the virtual event funnel, the webinar funnels, the evergreen webinar funnels, the book funnels, podcast funnels, retreat funnels, TEDx Talk speaker funnels, store shop funnels. If you have a product you want to promote, we'll help create that as well. And everything is done with you, done for you. So you're not having to just do it all on your own. And everything is one-to-one, so it's customized and personalized. The reason why I do that is I used to work with business, like group companies, and wonder how come it's taking forever to get a return on investment. So we thought that, we were seeing much quicker growth and acceleration when it's one-to-one, when we can focus on your business and make it personalized and customized and get things moving forward much more quickly. So I'd also like to invite my next guest to the stage as well. So if you go to businesscoachingamerica.com/summit, then you can actually register for this event. And then when you go to businesscoachingamerica.com/VIP-access, then you're going to get the VIP upgrade access. And what that gets you is the speaker free gift bundle, all the VIP upgrades and bonuses that are included in that. So I'd like to invite my guest to the stage here in just a moment. We're going to bring up Barbara Palmer. And Barbara, I'm just going to bring you up onto stage right now, and I'm going to do a little intro for you. So Barbara is a certified executive coach and transformational leader with a proven track record of helping senior level executives overcome their biggest challenges and exceed their organizational goals. Most leadership coaching only scratches the surface. She is an architect of transformation from the inside out. True leadership transformation isn't found in a single tool. It's found at the intersection of clinical science, systems logic, and spiritual clarity. Barbara Palmer doesn't just coach, she re-architects leadership DNA. With a background as an occupational therapist, Barbara brings a medical grade understanding of human function and neuroregulation to the boardroom. With decades of experience working with C-suite executives, senior leaders, professionals, and small business owners in healthcare, higher education, nonprofit, for-profit, faith-based, and government sectors, Barbara has developed a unique approach that combines proven neuroscience and deep psychological insight with practical business acumen. The neuroscience-based process healing approach she uses has helped countless organizations reduce turnover, improve performance metrics, and create lasting positive change. So I welcome you, Barbara, and let the audience know a little bit about your background, how you got to where you are now, and what you're doing. What was the I guess the perspective from all of your years of education and experience that brought you to this point?
Thanks for asking me to expound on that, because I have been in healthcare even before becoming an occupational therapist. I was already in the healthcare arena as an administrative assistant, as someone who was working alongside leaders. But I've also been around leadership in different sectors since my childhood. My dad was a pastor. I also eventually became an elder. So faith-based, I've been a part of leadership and especially as it relates to community outreach, coming alongside people, being like a lay minister, helping people to address difficult times. I played a role as a leader, a community leader, using all of my background. I don't believe that God wastes anything. So I believe that everything that we have, it gets an opportunity to be used. So after Hurricane Katrina, I was a part of an effort in Alabama to help people who had been displaced. But just know, the more that I have worked with people, and I also started off as an occupational therapist in mental health settings, but once again, in leadership, dealing with compliance, helping organizations, whether it was outpatient, inpatient, to get ready for accreditation visits. So I've been a part of all of that. Mm-hmm. And higher education is where I was with a private college. That's where I decided during COVID to make a shift. And for me, it was actually a shift back into doing more of the coaching. Mm-hmm. Because I had done coaching. I had done coaching with groups and done coaching, with individuals, but I had gotten away from that, and I was focused on helping adults to make a transition into healthcare. Mm-hmm. During that time and during COVID, I had an opportunity to really ask myself, is what I'm doing, is that really where I need to be? It was the first time in a long time that I had even started questioning if I was really where I needed to be. But things shifted during COVID. It's like we went from being in a brick and mortar building to doing everything over Zoom. Mm-hmm. And it was not, it felt like a disconnect for me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I began focusing on the coaching simply because I got a phone call after having a conversation where I was having to justify keeping my faculty. And after that phone call, I was definitely in a place where it's like, do I want to be having conversations like this over and over? And I received a call, and the person asked me, I am not making this up, by the way. It's like, because it sounds like, how did that really happen? The same day, within an hour, I received a phone call and the person asked me, have you ever thought of being a life coach? I had already been a life coach, and I had stopped being a life coach for decades. And I began thinking again, what would that look like if I did that again? To speed things up, to get to the point where I am now, it was when I just really took the time to get the additional training. And during me getting the additional training, I focused in on neuroscience because that just always resonates with me. But I also recognized that I have a love, a desire, a call in my life to help leaders, to help leaders to have a higher quality of life, to help leaders to actually be more authentic in how they show up and how they lead, and to lead from a place of alignment where they are more focused on the unique contributions and abilities and capacity that they bring, instead of being preoccupied with what the competition is doing. It's like, I'm not saying ignore what the competition is doing. I'm saying you don't need to copy what the competition is doing. There is something unique about you, which is why you are the leader that you are. But in order for you to truly lead to the level that you are capable of, it requires you being brave enough to get. It's almost like getting to know yourself and getting to to start recognizing what you uniquely are able to do. Your ideas are gems. Your ideas are unique. And our creativity is unique. Our earnest desires are unique. So as leaders, helping them to actually lead from a place where you have your goals and objectives, but do it in a way where you check in with yourself. You check in to make sure that you are making decisions that you actually feel good about, that you actually have peace about. So I help leaders to lead from a place of alignment, take their power back, take their lives back, because many times they've sacrificed their personal lives. Work-life balance is a joke, and learning how to actually lead from alignment. I say alignment is everything simply because it helps the person to be in touch with their core values. It helps the person to make decisions where they realize that even when there's an issue or a problem, if it's a part of what they have been given responsibility in overseeing, that means that they are part of the solution. And the solution will many times start with them, not outside of them. Even if other people are a part of helping things to actually happen. It's like they're the vision setters, and in order for someone else to run with that vision, they have to make it plain.
So write it down, have it clearly displayed, have it shown and communicated to their staff, to their employees, that vision that the leader has for themselves, for their company, for the employees as well, to make it.
Yes. And I would even go so far as to say, for each level of leadership within an organization, whoever the leader is, like for a department or a project, whoever that leader is, they also, it's not just about them setting the vision, knowing the vision, making it plain to those who have to carry it out, but where they are also modeling. They recognize that you don't just say or write that this is what's supposed to be happening. You actually are the standard. you are the one who's going to show them what this looks like, you know, to actually be someone who is following this vision or this mission. And when you do that, it's easier for everyone else to follow. If they see you and they hear what you are saying and what you're doing, if there is some incoherence, if some discrepancy there, you know, some disconnect or misalignment, people see that. They also have a response to that. Some people might even say they have a reaction. And for me, I want to help people to be able to be less reactive, and where you actually take the time to pause, do an internal check in terms of what is going on before you immediately have something to say or do. It's where you're checking in with that part of you that recognizes when something is off. Sometimes you don't even know what it is. You can't put your finger on it. But that's all a part of the whole thing about alignment and helping leaders to lead from a place where they're feeling calm, even under pressure. They know how to handle, you know, when they're in a high stakes or high pressure situation. That's part of what I do, is helping them to really get to a place where they are grounded and it's like being very present, to the extent that you're noticing things that you otherwise would have missed in a conversation or in a meeting or interaction, or even just observing your team at work. It's where you start to be a lot more available. Your awareness is there. You're not, even when you listen, you get better at active listening, because you're listening to hear, as opposed to listening and you're getting what you're going to say, your comebacks. You're getting those together while the person is talking.
Yes.
And anytime we do that, we miss different parts of what has been said. And that's why sometimes you'll have a person tell you, I told you this. It's like, we talked about this. And you'll be looking at them like, what are you talking about? When did we talk about this? And it could very well be that while they were talking about whatever they, you know, are now saying, we already talked about this, you were not present. Your body may have been present, but you were not present. And part of what I want to do today, especially in talking about the usage of AI, is helping people to know, as leaders, the human responsibility and accountability about how AI is utilized wherever you are, regardless of industry. It really is a reflection on your leadership and their decisions about what is going to be used, how it's going to be used. And there are different ways of going about embracing and utilizing AI, where it's like taking into account, there are some risks. And I think some people really kind of get caught up in, and they exaggerate the risk. And we're going to talk about, you know, some of that, because I am dating myself when I say this. But when I hear people talking about AI, and especially if there's a fear, you know, it's like they're feeling like, you know, their job, their role may become extinct, where they may be replaced, by AI. It reminds me of once upon a time when folks were first talking about utilizing computers,
Yeah.
which used to be so big that they took up a whole room. I'll
Yes.
never forget the first time I saw what was supposed to be a computer. It's like, I can't even imagine how they do this. Okay, fast forward, technology has been just steadily improving, so that now what started off as the computer, so we're still talking about computers. We have actually been using AI without even thinking about it. We all have smartphones. And what helps those smartphones to be smart is the AI, or artificial intelligence, or computerized intelligence that has been developed. And the thing about AI is that humans, we created it, we are still responsible. We are, because AI is not able, it doesn't have core values. It has the ability to research, to gather information, to analyze information, to give you a report. However, what you do with that information, or how you utilize what you ask it to create, when it creates something, you as the human who it created it for, is responsible for taking a look at what was created. Is it truly reflecting what you want it to reflect, as it relates to your business, as it relates to the goals, the objectives that you have, as it relates to the compliance, as far as the rules. We live in a day where almost all industries have compliance. They have rules, what is okay, what is not okay, especially as it relates to how information is handled, how data is handled, and even as far as within an organization, who has access, to certain things, and who has permission, to utilize certain information, or even to share information. So, and there's so when I thought of coming today and looking at how AI and IT, I just recently was talking about this on my weekly LinkedIn, and I'll shamelessly plug Super C-Suite live on Wednesdays. But it's where there is a relationship between AI and IT. Think of IT as they're helping to put the guardrails up. They're helping to establish boundaries that need to be there in terms of how AI is used. The security, think of the protection. IT is establishing, or that lays the infrastructure, or the environment in which AI can operate. So we've got some things that we want to keep in mind. And one of the things is, and I'm thinking so think of, how for this summit, you're talking about business freedom.
Yeah.
And business legacy. So AI is actually related primarily to business freedom.
Okay.
Because what AI has the capacity to do is to give more time for you to focus on your mission.
Yes. Yeah.
So it can also help with your decision making. It can help with your decision making simply because it can bring the information that you're really needing to take a look at and organize it for you in such a way where it's easy for you to review it, to see patterns that you otherwise would have missed. It also can help you in terms of really being able to know what your options are. It may bring to your awareness options that you didn't even know you had before you make a decision. And AI has a sustainable performance. Sustainable in that you don't have someone. This is one of the advantages of the AI not being human. AI is not going to call in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So whatever it is that you need it to do, regardless of what time of the day it is, if you're available, your AI is available as long as you have your internet connection.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is in a way really being helpful, but keeping in mind the human responsibility piece. I'm going to take a closer look at that and I'd like to give some examples, some practical case examples of what it would look like in different situations where AI is being used in a specific way. And is it really addressing things and taking into account that we're protecting our resources, including intellectual, property, including data, including your CRMs.
Yeah.
All your information about all these other people, the people that you serve or potentially could serve. And then your business legacy, which is also being addressed in this summit. That's where your what's important to you, your values, your knowledge, the relationships, the culture that you create. IT can't do that.
That's true. Yeah.
The service quality and how you carry out what you want in terms of the type of customer service, or how you interact with the people that you serve, the stakeholders that you interact with, that is a human element. And even being able to mentor and pass along your knowledge to another leader. AI can't do that.
No, it can't. No.
So, but what we are responsible for, as far as the human element, we're responsible for the outcomes because we're the decision makers. And if we look at, there's like 3 or 4 areas. If as a leader, you look at how you govern your AI, the usage of it does need to be governed.
Yeah.
And part of using AI responsibly includes, and I know this is a sign of our times, verification.
Yes.
You want to make sure that the AI for your organization is being utilized, or even as it relates to your personal life, is being utilized in a way where you're verifying who is using the AI. And that is something that is being, so it's being governed, it's being overseen.
Mhm.
It's also is where you're verifying access and who's using it.
Yeah.
You're also monitoring, which goes back to governance again.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
monitoring the verification process so that you're able to recognize early if there's been a breach,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Mhm.
And the other thing is just understanding that the human accountability is a part of if the whole AI IT picture. There has to be the human element, and that's where the human element is the responsible party. The
Mm.
human element is where the accountability or the buck stops here.
Right. And that's true leadership, right? To take that ownership, that full responsibility for whatever's happening, and to take that governance and being able to oversee everything that's happening and be able to make sure that there's good quality controls and measures in place, that it's not just kind of making the decision for you, is what you're getting at, right? Is
Yes,
Mhm.
very much so. I'm getting at that, and what that also requires is healthy boundaries. So you
Mhm.
want boundaries, but you want healthy boundaries that allow you to focus on what needs to be focused on. For instance, one of the main things that AI has been great at is helping people to actually have the time and capacity to do more of what they actually exist for.
Okay. So having those tasks that are repetitive being done by the AI that need to get done no matter what, but then you be the innovator and the thought leader, the one that's moving those aspects forward that a machine, robot, AI can't do, from your very essence of who you are.
Yes,
That part of you that cannot be replaced.
yes,
So when you said that also, not, what's happening now is our gifts and our education and our experience isn't being passed on to the next generation. What came to my mind was I have a 17-and-a-half-year-old dog who had a tumor last year. And when we went to the veterinarian clinic nearby, there was one that had just moved from the East Coast from a small town. She had her own practice for over 35 years there. And she was in part-time, semi-retired at that time. She's fully retired now. This is why it got me thinking. So last year, she said, this needs a specialist surgeon to work on this. It'll cost over $10,000, and we need to refer out to this surgeon. So my daughter started crying because she knew we're not going to put over $10,000 into a 17-year-old dog,
right.
try to save that dog. And so she heard all of us crying, over the phone, and her in the office. And she rushes in and she goes, okay, I'll do it. I'll do the surgery. So immediately my mind thought, this woman has had to be the end all and be all in a small town on the East Coast, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, for over 35 years. I'm sure she's done this many times without having to refer to a top veterinarian surgeon. And so I said, yes, we'll take it. We'll do it. And so she did it. She did a perfect job, got all of it out. And yes, it came positive with, the bad stuff, but it wasn't that bad that there would be any long-term consequences. But because she got all of it, he's now here still a year and a half or so later.
Yeah.
And so then I think now, when I called in recently and she's now fully retired, I'm thinking, who's going to replace her? Who's going to have those 35 years of being the only person in a small town to take care of everything for
Yeah.
everyone's pets and animals and, farm animals, everything. So you can't replace that. That is something
Right.
that is so unique. And so what do you think of with regards to all this new technology and how it can't replace those aspects of that human essence, the human nature, the spirit, the soul, the education, the experience, everything that makes up who we are and the relationships that we have. I actually feel that it's going to be actually stronger and deeper, that we need those connections with the leaders and managers and the employees and everyone working together to really
Yeah.
build a good economy and build businesses together, because we're going to be so deprived of that, that aspect of it, that we'll want it to be even stronger. So yeah, what are your thoughts regarding that?
Well, I honestly believe that, similar to what happened during COVID, when we were working from our homes, when we were disconnected, from most of the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
There was a point where we were craving interaction. We were, and even after COVID, which made it easier for us to accept doing things like we're doing now online, it just became, it became normal, for us to connect in that way. However, the more that we do the Zoom, or there's different types of video conferencing, we doing the live streams, there's a point where you start to crave the in-person interaction. And what we're really missing when we are having that craving is that there's something unique, and there's like this energetic exchange that happens. It's like we lift up one another. There's the opportunity for us to feel comforted and supported, and even where you can actually think better when you're in the presence of certain people that are like cheering for you, rooting for you, and not necessarily, going, go, 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 but these are people that are part of your team, and that you're there to not just do what you do as far as your mission, but you want to, when you have a team where you want to do well as it relates to what your organization or department's mission is, or your profession's mission is, it's like that is something that you can pass on, but you have to be intentional. And I do believe that many times we have businesses, we have ingenuity and all kinds of really great ideas, and sometimes inventions that seemingly are before their time.
Yeah.
That have the opportunity to be explored and utilized in new ways if they were passed on. And sometimes there's a technique that I use as far as the neuroscience coaching that I do, that's actually based on some work that was started by the famous psychologist Carl Jung, whose last name is spelled Jung, not Young. But he started this. He passed. And so this information basically sat around until another psychologist decided to pick that up, to continue the research, and they stopped. There was a third person who came into the picture, who picked that same ball up, took it further, and now there is this, this technique that is being used, and I'm a practitioner of it, that allows us to really have a much better understanding of how powerful we are. We've heard this over and over, that most of us only use about 10%
yes.
Of our brain's power. Well, there is an aspect of ourselves that Carl Jung discovered, and that was, we have a superconscious. So when I talk about super C-suite, it's because I understand the superconscious. The superconscious is like a part of us that has been with us since our conception, and possibly before, but it's been with us the whole journey, and is available to help us to do whatever it is that we're here to do. And when I say that, it can sound, so like fantastic. But it is, but I've witnessed what happens when a person is introduced to this part of themselves that can help you. It's kind of like, did you know that there's a part of you that can help you when you are getting ready to go into a high pressure situation? It feels high pressure to you. And before you go into that, you can actually just kind of tap into that part of you. And that's part of what I do, is I teach people how to do that, so that you go in there and you are able to be the very best version of yourself in that situation that was really scaring the crap out of you before you walked through the door.
Yeah.
But it's where you were able to, it was able to help you calm, help you to be focused, help you to be present. But it's where you didn't need a drink. You didn't have to touch base with anybody outside of yourself. And you were able to do what you needed to do. So in terms of passing on, I hope that part of what is clear, if it weren't for someone picking up the mantle that Carl Jung started, and then another person picking up what the next person, it's like they took it as far as they could, but they kept being moved along until now it's serving people all over the world.
Yeah.
That's the power of legacy, is that it can actually transcend generations, you know.
Wow.
And what started off in one place or locality can end up impacting the entire world.
That's amazing. That's what you want to see happen.
Yeah.
That it's in impacting the world for good, for better, for bringing prosperity, abundance, hope, healing, joy, a lot of different things that to make the world a better place. It's kind of like that ripple effect of that little small pebble that can, you know, make that ripple happen. That impact that you're making you're saying can actually impact the whole world. And when you were talking, it reminds me of the word super intelligence, or using that for AI, but in a sense, we already have that super intelligence. Is what you're saying, that AI doesn't to like.
And AI doesn't have that.
Yeah.
It's a human aspect of our being, that it's kind of like, you know, when you hear the stories about, there was a time and place where people believed that the world was flat. And I do believe that there's still some people that believe that the world is flat. It doesn't look flat when you're up in a plane, though. But so just think of when more and more people start understanding this other aspect of who they are and what they have available to help them be whatever they are going to be in this life, and do whatever it is they're here to do. This is a part of them that also helps them to tap into their creative side, innovative ideas, you know, and the innovative ideas that are in you may not be in me, you know, and vice versa. But wouldn't it be lovely for whatever innovations I have, or you have, or anybody else has, to have the opportunity to actually be utilized to their fullest capacity? Well, AI can make that possible.
Yeah.
But the person would have to be open and willing to learn more about themselves, to learn more about this part of themselves, in order for them to expand and grow. Because we, as humans, we are made, I think of our DNA, it's like a spiral. I think about when you put something in the ground, it grows up. We're made to continually develop.
Mm-hmm.
We have you noticed that right after you actually obtain something, that you reach a goal, you do something that you've been really looking forward to, there's a part of you that wants more.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part of you that wants something else. There's a part of you that wants something new.
Mm-hmm.
That is not being greedy.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a part of being a human.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's some people say you're never satisfied. It's like you actually can be satisfied, but at the same time, don't deny the fact that there's a part of you that desires something more, something new. There's
Mm-hmm.
and as we are able to tap into that, if there's a part of you that really wants to be able to tap into more of that business legacy,
Mm-hmm.
it's where you start being open to, how would I do that? You don't have to figure it out, but at least be curious, because that part of you, that superconscious, is there to help guide you
Mm-hmm.
based on what it is that you actually want, what you
Right.
actually want to do. It's
Yeah.
not there, it's like, and I am a person of faith. So when I say this, it's like, I do believe that even God, I do believe there is a God. I do believe that there is a spirit breathing us.
Mm-hmm.
We're not breathing ourselves. So I believe that that we have a creator, and that we are being sustained. I do believe that there's a point where what is important to you is honored. And when you say no,
Mm-hmm.
God will respect your no. It doesn't, so you can have abilities that you choose not to develop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have AI that can help you
Yeah.
to do more of what you really desire to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the AI cannot tell anybody what your earnest desires are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Cannot tell someone if your mission really is in alignment with your core values.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's internal work.
Right.
And to me, legacy takes some internal work where
Yeah.
the person is seeing the world beyond themselves,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and how they can connect, and how they can to pass. It's like running a race or a relay. It's like passing that baton.
Mm-hmm.
And we need more of that. We need more, but it's something that it requires intentionality.
Yes. Yes. Just like that veterinarian that has 35 years experience doing everything, that needs to be intentionally passed down to the next generation, so that experience can happen for others, that they would have, such an amazing situation happen for, our family pet, and be able to have that for others too, or whatever industry they're in, being able to pass down that knowledge and experience intentionally, to be able to see that continue to grow and develop for the next generation. Like you said, everything builds up, whether it's a plant or, whatever goals or dreams and plans that we have, we want more because of that. So I love that. So, and then basically looking to your super intelligence first, what are your internal goals and dreams and plans and visions, and the things that align with your values first, before going to AI, instead of going to AI first.
Exactly. And the other thing about going to AI is AI really is best utilized to address problems. So, but you, me, we, the humans, we're the ones who identify or decide upon what problem do I want to use AI to address. So, for instance, if there's a problem because there's a certain part of your team that just doesn't have enough time, at least this is what they're telling you. And let's say that they don't have time to complete certain work that's given to them.
Mhm.
And I'm just was just checking my notes. And let's say that they start doing things in a way where they start, in order for them to get it done faster, they start ignoring certain compliance rules.
Mm.
Like maybe the client's information is supposed to be confidential and handled in a specific way. Well, if they are wanting to use AI to help them to get things done, remember the IT piece is setting the guardrails,
Mhm.
protecting things. You still would need to make sure, and you may need to touch base with IT in terms of what is okay and what is not.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because the AI could potentially help them and give them some time back
Mhm.
by automating some things. But if the automations are done in a way that ignores boundaries,
Mhm. Mhm.
then we have a mistake.
Mhm.
And we also have a potential breach as far as client information.
Mhm. Mhm. So
So,
basically, we want to have a high level of security and protection of privacy and information is what you'd like to have as a standard for whatever you do with regards to your leadership, and then leading others to that high standard as well.
yeah, I just want to make sure that when people are using AI responsibly,
Mhm. Mhm.
realizing what it really can do. Like for me, I love it that I can have an AI agent that on a regular basis combs through my emails and identifies the emails that require my attention and a response.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that saves me a lot of time so
Mhm.
that I can focus on the things that I really need to focus on.
Yeah.
That's an example of it's like I want to use AI in a way that's responsible.
Mhm.
Now, I also like the idea of using AI to keep me on track. You know, as far as in my relationships, as far as there's different events. I have a large family. It seems like it's like, oh my goodness. And during the summer, it's like we have these really great things that happen. Like, we had someone who graduated, and we had folks come in from out of town, out of state. We come together, and the house is full. There's all this activity.
Mhm.
But keeping track of all the dates and who was coming and when they were coming and where who was going to be staying here and who was going to be staying there. I thank God for AI on putting stuff on my calendar and reminding me what's on the calendar. No, but the same thing is true as far as business. It's like you can use AI to focus on whatever you want to focus on. It does work best when it is addressing a problem. So for me, the problem was there's so much going on. I'm not sure, when someone's coming in town, or when I need to be showing up for an in-person event as opposed to a Zoom event.
Okay. So, and then with regards to that, though, checking your emails, checking your calendar, or syncing your calendar, what about security measures with regards to that? Because I think a lot of times those are private things as well, right? So how do we ensure that things are being secure as this technology advances?
Well, that's where IT comes in. IT's area of expertise has to do with the cybersecurity and understanding encryption and all the the reasons why we have the different types of standards, whether it is, and I don't know all the initials, they have so many initials. Most people recognize when they hear HIPAA, but just know similar to HIPAA for the healthcare industry, there are standards like it for the education industry. There's all kinds of compliance rules and IT cyber security measures for the energy industry. You name the industry, there's protections that are out there, including, that's the reason why we have the verification, the increased focus on verification, and AI is involved in this verification process. But that's an indication or an example of where AI is involved in helping to protect, because of how it is being used, how it is being programmed. The human element is shaping how AI is used, how it can be used. So we're involved in the shape of AI, the way that AI can be used. We are also responsible for the decisions that are made, even when AI does something. For instance, whatever AI does, there is the possibility. It may be a small possibility, but it's still a possibility for something to have a glitch. Because computerized things sometimes glitch. Even with the verification thing, have you ever? It's like went through a verification process and you provided all the information the way that they said to do it, and it would seem that something is wrong with this whole thing because it doesn't recognize, it can't tell you why.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So you can have it where it's giving you this information. You have this information. You can even have the timestamps, for information. But if something is not making sense, it will be the human element of you that recognizes this doesn't make sense. It's like, I just input all this information and this is what I'm expecting to get back, but this is not what I'm getting back.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
That's why we prefer to speak to a real human agent when there's something that goes awry, because they just know the basics. The AI just knows the basic Q&A, but then we're always going agent, or pressing the button to get to the, we want to speak to a live human because they know the nuances of the reasons why behind it, or something out of the ordinary that the AI doesn't recognize, like you said. So
yeah. And there's I'm being sarcastic when I say it. I love having a conversation with an AI agent when I called to speak to a live person.
Yeah.
And when the AI has been programmed to say, I can help you with that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you can't. But if you say, no, you can't, it'll say, it's like, I have not been trained on that, how to respond to that. It's like, and then you repeat yourself. I would like to speak to a representative. Before I transfer you to a representative, please explain to me why you would like to speak to the representative, because I may be able to help you with that.
And we already know she can't. So, okay, yeah. So security is important, and then also that human element that understands the reason why behind it, or the nuances or specific scenario to that person that isn't general knowledge, right? That it doesn't normally happen. So one idea or thought I had was regarding someone I know whose husband is at high level security. So he has two different types of, I don't know if they're USB drives or key cards, but they're at two ends of, the this big long table with his computer in between, and he's got to get both in there at the same time. Has 15 seconds to do all of his, passwords and whatever biometric IDs and things like that. And he gets his son to plug it in one end, and he does the other at the same time, tries to get it. So sometimes it doesn't work within 15 seconds. And I was thinking, well, eventually one day maybe an AI could bypass that 15 seconds, get in there before that 15 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever it is that they have to get in. So as things develop, what are you seeing in the market trending toward? Obviously, cybersecurity is going to be something that is going to continue to be on the rise, that people need to learn. And is there certain things that you can see that AI would take over, for instance, that maybe humans would have to start to look in other areas to do certain types of jobs versus the ones that AI may be able to take over?
What I have noticed is that AI is only able to take over or do something that is repetitive, that is basically something that is just, it doesn't really change. It has minimal, changes, like this is what you do. This is what the response is to that. It's I can see something like that happening, and which is one reason why you see it being used a lot as far as the chat bots, where it's basically asking you, how can I help you? But then it's giving you options. A lot of them actually just have these options where you pick, this is like, is it this or that, or something else? And if it's the something else, then, it's like they still have these options where they're just basically making it easy to communicate that I need help. So help desk, things like that is where I see there being an expansion, possibly even as far as, some receptionist work. And I'm saying that because part of my background, I will not mention any place that I've ever worked at, but once upon a time, I know that I've been at skilled nursing facilities and other healthcare facilities where the phone just rings and rings and rings. And you can't help but wonder, is anyone going to answer the phone? So AI may be the answer to that being a problem, because I'm sure that, there's someone that will hear this that will know that I did not make that up. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If, healthcare facilities oftentimes, are short-staffed. And as far as people having to make cuts, if they made cuts, one of the cuts would be a receptionist.
Okay.
And if it's like that in healthcare, it might be like that in some other industries as well.
Right. Okay. So certain jobs that they think that this AI can do is repetitive, but still, even then, we prefer to have, someone that we speak to.
And they still need to have the human element. That I hope leaders and business owners really understand that it's so important to still have that human element, because even with AI doing repetitive types of tasks, there will always be the need for someone to touch base with someone who is human, who can actually hear what is being said and have a response to it,
Yes.
and who can shift and adjust, and understands, and can empathize.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm,
it's like true empathy. It is not something, AI can seem to be empathetic,
mhm, mhm.
but that's a program.
Yeah. And so what I foresee happening is that the more we're deprived of that human element, we're going to be wanting to draw toward that even more so. So there's going to be this strong need for more connection, more empathy and compassion, and true community, and having people maybe even, saying that I would prefer to see a human. So people even make those choices when they go to the checkout. They prefer to go, support someone who's actually working there versus
Right.
the automated one, right? So
Right.
that would be something that, would be good to start to see happen now that we could all foresee that we're going to need each other even more so. So can you share a little bit about okay, go ahead. What were you going to say, Jim?
I just wanted to say that at the same time that AI may be, a solution, for some of these problematic areas, because we do also have it where there seems to be a lack of qualified people for different positions. So it's like, okay, AI is helping people to be able to do what they do, but there's an opportunity for people to be the human element for the AI that so that's something, if a person hasn't thought of that, there's different types of training that's available around that. I'm sure you can Google or do some type of search, and it wouldn't take much to find out about an online course or something that you can do and it might even seem like an online course. It's like, yeah, an online course that could actually position you where you add value to your skill set, because it's like, what to do with AI in specific ways that makes you valuable.
That's really good. Okay, that's a really good point. A different perspective to turn it around and look at it from that area. Okay, so can you share your free gift offer that you have for the audience, and what you have to offer when it comes to also your Super C-Suite, and then when people book in at businesscoachingamerica.com and book a consultation with both of us today, I'm going to give an extra bonus to people. And then when they go to businesscoachingamerica.com/VIP-access, they'll also get the VIP speaker bundle package as well. So could you share with the audience your gift or gifts today that you have for them?
Yes. So there's a 45-minute consultation. We focus on whatever they want to focus on. They will also have an opportunity to receive an ebook. It is called The Aligned Leader. So it has a lot of good information, information that is has been vetted. So there are some references there as far as where the information comes from. But the bottom line is, there are some things that you can do that basically it can catapult the results that you get in your life, as far as the results being more in sync with what really makes you smile and gives you peace. And with the Super C-Suite, I offer services to leaders, and there is a 6-month program. They have special pricing on that. We also have a few grants that are available on that can help with the cost. There's different payment options that are available on that. And I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate you, Barbara. And when everyone goes to book in at businesscoachingamerica.com, I'll give you all of the free gift offers from the speakers and the speaker bundle package. And when you do the VIP upgrade, you'll get the extra VIP bonuses as well. And there's many other gifts in there. And when you book in with both of us today and any of my speakers and myself today, you'll get an extra bonus from me. So I have lots of different free gift offers, and we have a lot of different specials happening right now. So go to businesscoachingamerica.com/summit or /VIP-access. And I appreciate you, Barbara. I'm going to have you on again. And I know that you have a Wednesday live as well. So I encourage everyone to be part of that. And we'll invite you to come on again in another one of these sessions on a Thursday as well on the Business Freedom and Legacy Summit. Appreciate you, Barbara. Talk to you soon. Okay.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, so our next guest speaker, she is Candy Campbell, and she's an amazing speaker. She's done a lot of different types of speaking engagements and different types of things in the art sector as well, and drama, and even on TV and movies and things like that in the media industry. So Dr. Candy Campbell is an award-winning actor, author, filmmaker, and a nurse. Candy's coaching clients include executives, students, and business owners of all ages and abilities who want to communicate with clarity and distinction. As an actor, Candy Campbell has appeared on stage, on screen, in commercials, voiceovers, and many other areas on the Hollywood type of industry. You name it, she's done it. She co-founded an improv and stand-up comedy company in the 1990s in the San Francisco area, and she's taught how to do applied improv to all ages, stages, and types of businesses since then. Her doctoral work with clinicians at the Stanford HCO centered on interprofessional communication and resulted in 2 more books, Improv to Improve Healthcare, A System for Creative Problem Solving, and Improv to Improve Your Leadership Team, Tear Down Walls and Build Bridges. Her latest book is available in 2026, and it is a part of the facet of all her coaching that she does as well. And she has many, many other awards and degrees and accomplishments. And I want to thank you, Candy, for joining us today, and I appreciate you. And we do have a festival here in town, actually, that's doing a lot of improv. So I'm getting one of those passes. So I'm excited to hear what's happening with that, because I was listening from the outside and hearing lots of laughter. It's a very important part of, what we do. And I think art is a very amazing aspect of our society and community. It shows a time of peace and prosperity and abundance when you see, overall in the history of mankind, where you can kind of see areas where there was, war and times of conflict. And then when there's times of peace, there's a lot of art that takes place. So I think it's a really important aspect of what we do. So can you share a little bit about yourself, Candy, and how you got to this place of being able to coach leaders and executives and with all the background that you have to be able to support them, to be able to further their leadership, their legacy, their business. So yeah, how did you get into all of this? You started as a nurse, I think, first, right? And then
no, actually, that's wrong.
Oh, okay.
But thanks for having me, Jen. It's a pleasure to be here. And to answer your question directly, my initial bachelor's is in theater and acting with a teaching minor. And actually, I had nearly a double major, just a semester away from also a bachelor's in speech language pathology. So I've been an actor and a vocalist since I was a kid. I've had a lot of training and, but because I've spent decades in healthcare, I got the call to be a nurse when I decided that the moral relativism of the acting profession, as it was explained to me on my first professional job, when I was asked to do something that was not in what I was going to do, I decided I had to remake my life. It was really a crisis time. And so happily for me, I was hired by Pan American World Airlines in the day in the 70s to fly all over the world. And it was during that time, because I can speak French and German. So it was during that time that I realized people get sick up in the air. And
Mhm, mhm.
you know, so I realized that people either run to help or run to hide. And I always ran to help. And other people who were nurses who had become flight attendants
Mhm.
told me, kind of assumed because I was always helping that I already was a nurse. And when I said, I'm thinking of becoming a nurse because I was ready to settle down and, be home for holidays and things like that. They said, "Oh, you're doing this backwards. That's hard. Working in the hospital is hard, but this is a lot
Mhm.
easier." So that was the beginning, actually, was acting, then in nursing. And then there was another twist in life, you see.
Okay.
And
And I remember a story, you had a funny story of when you were up in the air and everyone needed, I guess, like one of those little bags that they give you at the front of the seat in front of you. So that was one of the reasons why you realized you were one that rushes to support others where others hold back. And
exactly. We were on a flight. I don't know how diverse your audience is, but in the day it was a summertime, and we left. We used to fly around the world, and we left New Delhi, India, and it was 102 degrees on the tarmac. And then we got up in the air conditioning went on. It was great. We were going to Pakistan, and so during that flight, it was a packed 747. And what happened was that after we served the meal, it was, get this, everybody in economy too got chicken, steak, or fish, a full meal, and with drinks and dessert and everything to go with it. After the meal was finished, the air conditioning cut out.
wow.
It was not a good effect. So I was in on the jump seat because we started having turbulence, and I'm on the jump seat in the rear of the plane watching 124 people. When we took a real big dive, we watched all those people vomit in unison.
Wow.
And that's when I realized you either go to help or go to hide. My seatmate ran to the bathroom. She was ill. And I just, there wasn't much you could do. Breathe out of your mouth. And you'll like this. In the above bins, nobody brought, I don't remember anybody bringing up luggage because luggage didn't have wheels on it in those days. All the luggage was underneath. We had pillows and blankets up there. So I just took the blankets and covered the muck and your shoulder, and there wasn't really anything I could do. But it really got me thinking about the greater aspect of doing something to help people. And that's kind of been the theme of everything that I've been doing.
Okay. So, and then that just kind of grew and developed from there. So it made you decide you wanted to go into nursing after all of that?
Yeah, it did.
Wow. Okay. And then what did you notice when you started nursing? Like, was there certain aspects of your background with the theater and art and being a flight attendant that supported that career as well? Like, what
Yeah.
was the progression? Okay.
Well, one of the first things that I noticed was that a lot of nurses, again, when I became a nurse, it was 1979, and I was in nursing school with a lot of mostly women, not all, but mostly women, who had most of them graduated from high school. And it was, the glass ceiling was getting cracks in it. It's not like women couldn't do other things. But a lot of us still gravitated towards nursing, secretary, teaching, those sorts of things. And what I noticed was that when I got working on the floor, people who were tasked, as nurses often do, are tasked with answering the phone or engaging with patients, older patients or doctors or other professionals, they didn't seem to know how to communicate very well. This
Mhm.
was a big problem. So because of that, I was slated for leadership right away and started teaching in every hospital that I've ever worked in. So that's sort of how that started.
Okay, and then you started teaching in college and university as well as a professor on.
Yes, I say I'm a recovering academic. What happened was that I happily had a diverse career in mostly intensive care, although at one point I did do hospice care and other things when we were, in one hospital closed kind of thing. But I started on the IV team and did ICU, CCU, labor and delivery, and the last 23 years was in the NICU. And all of that intense, oh, and ER, I forgot. And all of that intensive care caused me to be on my feet long, long hours. And
Mhm.
coincidentally, in 2003, I happened to have the first of 5-foot surgeries, which, you know, sort of derailed the clinical aspect. So that's why I went to grad school. And at the same time, in the mix in there, in 1992, I had a life event. And it was a low point in my life. And after a few months, I just wanted to laugh again.
Mhm.
So I say providentially, I saw an ad in a newspaper. You remember those things? Newspapers?
Yes, I love newspapers, actually. I still read them.
Right. Well, there was an ad in a newspaper for a clean comedy class. So I signed up. And, the thing that was remarkable to me, I was the only person who'd ever had any acting. And we were learning the setup punchline formula. And what happened was that I noticed all these other students, there was like 8 of us in there, they were
Mhm.
so comfortable with themselves on stage. And I was not. I was used to having a costume and being another person,
Yes. Yeah.
but being myself.
Mhm.
It was a shock to my system. I really had a tough time with it, and I asked the other students,
Mhm.
"You're so relaxed up there." Oh, the same answer with all of them. Taking improv classes. Well, I mean, you'd think as an actor that I'd had improv, but it was only in the 70s that people like Keith Johnstone and other people like that started writing about a sort of an improv, a kind of a principled improv, more than just here's a situation, play it,
Right.
sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And so I was drawn to it.
Mhm.
And within a few months, 4 of us in that class decided, we're a lot funnier than the teacher. We could
Mhm.
do
Mhm.
this. And
Yeah.
so we co-founded an improv and stand-up comedy company in the San Francisco Bay Area in
Wow.
1992. We
Mhm.
were together about 3 years, and people, they move away or what have you. But just before the end of that run with these other 4, we always, after a show, we're down front taking questions and chatting with people. It was fun.
Mhm.
Every single time somebody would come up and say, "You must have had a plan, right? That one scene was so funny." And we're like, "No, that's the beauty of improv."
Yes.
And one time there was this fellow, it was 1995, and he kind of held back for a bit. And then he said, "Okay, I get it. You didn't have a shill, but here's my take. What I saw was that you took a problem and you transitioned it into a solution. Can
Wow.
you?" And then he said, "Can you come and teach my really intelligent software engineers how to park their egos and play nice because they're not getting any work done?"
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the in the leadership and business sector, you're being asked to do improv in those corporations. Now, okay, so that's something innovative and unique. So how
It
did that,
was then.
okay, and how did that go with those engineers?
Well, it went great. As a matter of fact, when it was kind of funny because we say it's an all-in sort of training, and it's not about going for the funny. You know, I've taught theater classes on improv for that before, and that's usually we're going for the funny. It's a performance kind of a thing. But when we're doing applied improv with people or groups, we're usually working to improve a person's presence or a team to work together. And so we teach the principles, but we're not going for the funny. We're really going for the debriefing, the underneath, and what is causing, what are you sensing? What comes up for you? It's not exactly psychodrama, but there's a lot of introspection that goes along with it. And it was so successful. They invited me back, and when that particular company was subsumed by another one, I did find out that they're still training their leaders in improv.
Using your method. Okay. So how does that look if someone's only seeing comedy as improv? What does that look like in this scenario? Would you kind of give an example or maybe a conversation that might be had in that situation?
In which situation?
In a situation where you're going deeper with an introspective.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, it depends, of course, on who we have in the room. So if I might, let me just focus a little bit on what I assumed this particular group was more interested in, which happens to be the focus of my next improv book, which is Improv to Improve Your Magnetic Leadership or Presence. Magnetic presence is what I should say. Because and I will get around to answering that specifically, but I just want to say that when we have an understanding of it's really improving emotional intelligence, and when we do that with some specific principles, we're able to up our game in terms of self-confidence and being able to relate to other people and build trust. And when we do that, also hearkening on to our last speaker who mentioned the neuroscience, there's a lot of neuroscience about why this works. And I won't get into that right now. But what we do know is that when we're laughing and having fun, those happy hormones start percolating. And if we are not, we're not going to be evaluating anybody on what they say. We're making it a psychologically safe area to play. And that is why some people say, well, for instance, the businesses, they say, well, for instance, when I pitched this idea after I'd been doing these trainings in Silicon Valley and other businesses, I pitched it to the director, the education director at the hospital where I also worked. And she said, oh, we're not going to be able to do that. There's no evidence that it works in healthcare. and so when then it came to doing the doctoral work, which you mentioned in the intro, I was able to go to Stanford and work with a diverse group of interprofessional people who had degrees in all sorts of healthcare categories, I want to say, and show them that in order to bridge the gap, in order to tear down those silos that just sort of come naturally, if we can affect certain basic principles, which if you want to go into that, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be awesome. I think this is fascinating because I think that so many people are shy to be able to do a lot of this, and they feel more reserved. And so something like this would break people out of their shell and be able to speak up more with regards to what they're feeling and experiencing with that emotional intelligence.
Yeah, that's so true. the reason I'm even writing this book is because, for instance, the last book, the one on improv to improve your leadership team, that was written with a leader in mind who already was pretty self-confident, who just said, I need a better system to really engage everybody. But the one I'm writing now is focused on the person you just mentioned, the person who, they know they're smart, or maybe they're not a leader. Maybe they just thought to themselves, I'm smart, but like in the example of a young woman I have coached in the past, she said, I don't know. It's such a, she said, toxic atmosphere. I'm afraid to raise my hand in a meeting. I don't want to be judged. I don't want to say anything that's wrong. And yet she's really smart and she has a master's degree. She should be on a leadership track, but she recognized she never would be, because even though she's smart and she has great ideas, she's so self-conscious. She has never applied herself in a room to be recognized in that way. And there are a lot of people like that. They may not have a title presently, but they need this help. Or I'll tell you the other person this is for. This is for the person who may have been a terrific, it doesn't matter what industry it is, I'm just going to say in healthcare, might have been a terrific team player and is very smart, and everybody enjoys working with this person, and the luck of the draw or whatever, this person gets tapped by whomever to be in a leadership position, and they feel totally out of their game. It's like, suddenly I'm not just a cog in the wheel. I have to spin the wheel or make sure the wheel is turning. There's so many other things instead of just one focused of one task or one main goal, like taking care of a patient or what have you. Suddenly, my goal is making sure that all the team works well, and they're asking me questions and I don't know the answers. This is a lot to take on. And the most common thing I hear in my retreats and workshop with leaders or wannabe leaders, especially the leaders who are new, is that they weren't ready. There were not classes. There was not a program. And what do? Well, the typical thing is they go to an orientation meeting and they are told, all right, now your leadership. Now, anybody you were friends with, no more.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's true. And they say, don't leave your door open. You'll never get any work done. Well, I hate to differ, but I do differ. Because the best leaders, and I just want to ask you and everybody else here, if you can think of the best boss you ever had, I'll bet you can tell me at least one reason you liked that boss. Can you think of one?
Well, they listened and they had compassion and they understood you. They knew you. They knew who you were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You trusted them because they trusted you. There was some sort of relationship. It didn't have to be besties, but it was something where, and tell me if you think this, if this is right. You knew if something went on, you could go to that person and it would be safe. You could talk to them. And not only that, you could talk to them. Maybe they'd invite you to sort of work out a solution together. They wouldn't just throw it back on you like, what do you think you do? No, they'd say, tell me more. I didn't know this is going on. Or maybe I've been trying to figure out how to get around this particular problem. Would you be willing to help on whatever? And I'm not talking about help gossip about people. No. I'm talking about strategic alliances that happen. And when you are the leader, as I have been in different roles, I'll say, always a leader is always looking for somebody to hand the baton to later. And you don't know what's going in their mind. Even if they're a younger person, they may have a whole other agenda you are not aware of. For many, many reasons, and especially if they're of a certain age, if they're getting up in years, 50 or more, they are looking for who is going to continue with the good work that they've been doing. And that's why I say magnetic presence, because
Right.
when you're that kind of person, people will find you. That,
Mhm.
nowadays, as we're talking about AI and so forth and so on, I mean, you don't have to walk into a company interview blind. No, you Google them, you look them up, you look at Reddit or wherever you want to go to look and see what the gossip is about them. You want to know. For instance, if the people that are in leadership, you want to know who are the leaders. If you're going to be interviewing with these people, you look at their recommendations. You look
Mhm.
and see what they like, what they say, what they're posting. You
Mhm.
can come in a lot more able to understand who these people are. And the best part is, if you know who's clearly a good leader, if you can get on their team, it'll be
Mhm.
good for everybody.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I've had clients that have told me that they were loved as a leader so much that their team said, if you leave this corporation, we're going to follow you to the next
It's
corporation.
so true. When my favorite boss told us that she was going to retire, she'd been threatening for years. I tell you, we cried. We cried. Some of us who were far from retirement age are like, I'm gonna retire with you. And then, well, let me tell you something else. This is another problem that happens so often in corporate America right now. Bigger corporations will come to a smaller one and they'll gobble them up because, they can. They have a good, strong brand. And then maybe the smaller entity is struggling in some way. So they make a deal and they sell. And the bigger organization envelops them. And,
Mhm.
and then what happens? Well, if now you are not just your own part of your own proud little brand, but you're part of a bigger brand. This is what was happening at Stanford and why I
Mhm.
was able to work with them. There are ancillary smaller entities all around that are now covered under the umbrella of one new brand. And what do you think they do first thing?
I'm not sure. What do they do?
I'll tell you what they do. They usually fire all the managers from the smaller entities. Why would they do that?
Because they want to start fresh and and train them the way that they want them to be trained, basically.
Exactly. And then
Wow.
if you're an employee there, it's like, wait a minute. It's almost like a kid going, a new babysitter? Or, where'd mom? you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you had a relationship with this person, you thought, or
Mhm.
maybe if you didn't have a great one, you're hoping for a better. But here's what often happens. And there's a lot of research that talks about this. When a larger entity comes in, usually for the managers that are replacing, the managers are given more on their plate.
Oh,
They don't
wow.
have time for the kind of relationships that the smaller entities have, where you have
Mhm.
a manager who only has 100 people or less. But if
Mhm.
somebody comes in and now they've got, 1,500 people that they're managing, it's a different game
Wow. Wow.
entirely.
So then what would you do in a scenario like that where they decide on those types of actions to take when they take over a new company? Like, what
I'm
would
so
you
glad.
do?
I'm so
Yeah.
glad you asked. And
Mhm.
so what I've been doing is having retreats. And
Okay.
we start with some basic improv exercises. Well, we explain the neuroscience and so forth and so on. And they send representatives from their different smaller entities who are not happy. I mean, they don't have to tell me. I already know. That's why I get hired to do this because they're
Mhm.
not happy. They're like, we got trouble here. And why? Oh, well, we've been there for a year and we got people, disengaging or more mistakes or they're leaving. And, this is not good for business. And if you're in healthcare, it's really bad. It's really bad. So I come in and we have representatives. Usually it's the leaders from different areas. And hopefully some of the people who are on the leadership track, if they're smart enough to have such a thing, and we get them to know each other in a way that it's not role playing. I often am challenged by this because I know there are other people who have a whole business, if you will, selling scripts about phraseology and whole sentences that they want you to memorize. They're not actors, but they say, this is how. It's kind of like, do you remember assertiveness training?
Yes, I do remember that. Yes.
And the reason we're not doing that so much anymore is because people, when we are challenged, we forget all that. The idea is to create, with everyone's help, more emotional intelligence so we can have a better, safer, more trustworthy alliance within a company. And you do that by honoring people. So I know our time is short, so I'm happy to give you a couple of brief examples, if that would help.
That would be great. Yeah. And then if you could also share your free gift offers with the audience, and then how they can, connect with you, book an appointment with you. And then when they book an appointment with you and myself, I'm going to give them an extra bonus as well.
All right.
Yes, if you want to share some examples,
well, the first one I always say is to listen to understand, not to defend yourself. Now, I know everybody lectures about that, but what we do in this training is we get you to practice it. And people go, well, so you're going to have, let's say you're in the finance industry, so we're going to role play about dealing with different customers. No, because here's the example. When you are learning something, let's say you're a famous soccer player, all right? When you are gearing up for your next game to get stronger in your skills, you go to the gym. Do you play soccer in the gym? No, you build up your muscles in the gym. And that's what improv is. It's building up your communication muscles, allowing you, just like I said, we get those happy hormones percolating so that you can open up to more adaptability, spontaneity, and creativity. So the way you do this, and everybody can take this away. When you're looking at a person and you're having a conversation, doesn't matter if you know them or not, make that person the most interesting person you have ever met in your life. Just focus on them, and whatever they say, one of our principles is words are golden. Believe their words, listen to their words. And then the second principle is to get rid of your inner editor that says, what should you say? Be open to new ideas and say, instead of saying, well, yes, but, especially, we get this in healthcare all the time. We're paid to say yes, but, because if we always agree, somebody can die. That's not the point. When we're in the gym, when we're exercising our muscles, we're going to practice positivity, and we're going to say yes and. We're going to say yes and then we're going to, instead of just letting it die because we're so interested in this person, we're going to say yes and add to whatever it was the words that were golden that came out of that person's mouth were. It's amazing where it can lead.
Okay, I love that. And what are your free gift offers for when people go to businesscoachingamerica.com/summit and then the /VIP-access for the VIP audience as well?
They can choose if they want either the first chapter of my book, Improv to Improve Your Leadership Team, or Improv to Improve Healthcare. They are similar, but slightly different. They have, some of them have the same similar exercises in them. The one for leaders is a complete leadership program, especially if they want to train someone to follow up with them.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I appreciate you so much, Candy, for coming on today. I want to have you come on and go in more in depth into everything that you go through with your clients. And I encourage everyone to book a consultation with you. Where do they book that consultation with you? Is there a specific website for that?
Thank you. I just opened up another aspect of my business. So I have two links. So the one that they can book that has the calendar on it
Mhm.
is the Powerful Voice Leadership Academy, and I've shortened it as PVL Academy, Academy. So PV, I'm sure it's going to be in the chat here, right?
Yeah, we're gonna
PVLA
share.
Academy.
Yeah, and we're going to
.com.
share it when they book in for the bundle, the speaker gift bundle. They're going to get that as well, and the VIP upgrade
Great.
access.
Great. And if they want more other videos and what do you call it, testimonials, they can go to candycampbell.com.
Okay, wonderful. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone coming on today, and register again at businesscoachingamerica.com/summit. Book in with both of us today, and I will give you an extra free gift offer as well. All right, we'll see you next week, everyone, at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern, and we're going to have Candy come on, and so we can go in more depth into, I think you have a book being released as well, so we can go and talk a little bit more about that as well. All right, I appreciate you, Candy.
Thanks.
Have a wonderful day, everyone. Take care.